escalating into a wider. The war in Ukraine is quickly escalating into a wider horror. And from what I can see, practically nobody in this chamber is doing anything to prevent it. In fact, most people seem to get off on the fact that it's escalating. And at this precise moment, of course, as usual, the voices challenging the rush to war are attacked and silenced, smeared as traitors, cronies, Putin puppets, Kremlin stooges, Russian agents. Frankly, it's pathetic. And I don't make the comparison lightly, but the crudeness and cynicism of these slurs coming from mainstream EU parties might as well have been written by Hermann Göring, who infamously said that even though people never want war, they can be brought to war with threats and smears. He said, all you have to do, tell them they're being attacked, denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism and exposing their country to danger. It works the same every way. Where he led, you are following. This House should be ashamed of this debate. Words are being twisted, meaning subverted, and the truth turned on its head. Opposing the horrible madness of war is not anti-European. It's not anti-Ukrainian. It's not pro-Russian. It's common sense. The working class of Europe have nothing to gain from this war and everything to lose. And I find it laughable that those calling for arms to Ukraine never call for arms for the people of Palestine or for the people of Yemen. Unlike you, I oppose all war. I want it stopped. I make no apology for that, and I'm not going to be scapegoated and labelled for it either.
What's poppin', my friends, my family? Welcome back to another fantastic week of Revolutionary Blackout Live. It's your host, it's your boy, it's Nick. Today is my birthday, so I am joining you with a great guest. We got our friend, Comrade Missy, joining us. We got a lot of great topics. CJ will be joining us later. Yes, the rumors are true. I saw the chat that said the rumors are true. Happy birthday. Much love to the fam. Getting old. I got a little bit of gray in my beard. So you actually can't tell by the camera, but I do have like a few singular grays in there. Every single gray hair I get, I feel like I am becoming more powerful. That's the mindset I have. Because like I look back when I was 19, 22 years old. I'm 32 now. Got some years on me. I've seen some stuff, been through some things, read some books. I feel pretty good about my intellectual development, considering I was a dumbass when I was 20. So I think about like what will I be like when I'm 40, when I'm 50, when I'm 60. I look up to people like Glenn Ford, people like Gerald Horne, Mark Kimberly. These are my unbelievably beautiful and intelligent Black elders, Black leftist elders at that. They didn't even go down the Black boomer liberal route. So I'm like, if I'm 40 and 50, how much will I hone and sharpen my communication skills and my intellect? And the reason why I'm saying this is I implore you guys, and this is what keep me mentally healthy. Like we gotta continue to strive to better ourselves. We had to reject anti-intellectualism, and we gotta take pride in the fact, like, yeah, next year I want to be smarter than the guy I was this year. Have you guys ever seen this? And we call these lazy commentators out all the time, where they just brag about not reading shit. They're extremely lazy. They have the same takes as they had on stuff from like 2009. They sound exactly the same in 2015, and people take pride in their lack of development. I take pride in the fact that I was a dumbass when I was 19, 20, and I improved myself from that. So I'm 32 years old today, and I always kind of try to reflect this on every birthday. Like, how can I get better this year? What can I improve on this year? I'm not talking about just like material shit, right? Like, how can you treat your family better this year? How can you be a kinder person this year? How can you be better at your craft this year? You know what I mean? I'm ranting already. I didn't introduce my friend. What's poppin'? Friend of the show. You joined me on my birthday stream. CJ will be joining us later, guys. He doing some family business right now. I'm glad that you joined us today. This should be a fun stream. This is my friend, comrade Missy. Actually, let me put the information here. pop the names up. There you go.
That's me.
Welcome to our being Misty. Thank you for
Hey,
joining us
thanks for
again.
having me, and happy birthday. Happy birthday to
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
You're like a little baby. I'm 41, so 32, that feels like I was even dumb at 32. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and but I say that just to
Yeah,
emphasize that you make a great point. Like, there's so many people who kind of get complacent, and I think we should all be working towards growth constantly. And I am, and people feel like if you change your positions on things, and that's like a sign of inconsistency or whatever. I think having a consistent like foundation is good, but I think you should always be open
yeah.
to new information and learning and growing. And so kudos to you for having that mentality. And I can't wait to see where you're at 40.
Yeah, have you ever seen the people? I know we all have. You're
Yeah.
seeing people who are like, you can't tell me shit, bro.
Yeah.
You can't tell me shit. And I've noticed this growing up, and I've seen this, and I promise I will not replicate the same thing. Like
Yeah.
people, and I'm gonna try to do my best to explain this, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well, Misty. People kind of regress. Like
Yeah.
there's a point where people are intellectually curious, they learning more, and it's kind of out of anxiety. Like you're 19, you're 18, you're in the world like, holy shit's scary. Then you got to figure out shit, and then people get lazy. Like then people get, as they get older, I see them become more intellectually lazy, and they got that you can't tell me shit.
Yeah.
You can't tell me shit attitude, right?
Well, I genuinely think that it's just complacency. I think people reach a point in their life where, you know, they're comfortable, and they're not, maybe not comfortable, but they're in their job. That's their daily routine. Go to work, come home, eat dinner, get up, go to work the next day. And it's like this cycle, and they just get into this routine, and why bother? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why do I need to read a book? How's that going to help me? And I get that to a certain extent, but I think that it's just so self-limiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever want to be in a place where I'm not curious. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been uber curious about everything. And I also I can't stand the people who think that they have all the answers. You don't. Nobody does. Like JB posted earlier today that, you know, something about how he wants to always keep learning. And yeah, it's like, or he said, I still have so much to learn. And I commented back, we all do. Everybody does. Nobody has all the answers. I am constantly being surprised and being presented with information I didn't know existed, and changing my opinion on a whole host of issues. You know what I mean? And it's I think that we should all be open to that. I think that's what makes life exciting.
Yeah, and that's what. Once again, this I'm not like a mental health scientist, so take all this with a grain of salt. But I really do think this leads to depression later in years, and a lot of people like find themselves in a position where they can't stop working. Instead of working and making money for someone else, how about you live for self-improvement? How about you learn for teaching others? That's another reason I take what I do seriously, because not everyone is in position I am. Like there's could be people who working 50, 60 hours a week, multiple kids. So are they able to read up on the Ukraine war? Are they able to read up about the history of revolutionary thought? No, so we need educators that can help educate the proletariat as well. And JB, you brought him up, is probably one of the greatest examples of this. I invited JB on my early shows, and since then I've seen the insane development. JB was tell you himself, like he started reading Michael Parenti. Now I hear like JB talk about history, foreign policy. So I'm like, damn, this motherfucker probably knows.
And he's like a sponge, you know what I mean? And he's so joyful about it. Like he's so joyful and he's always so gracious and grateful for everything that, you know, people are willing to give him. And he's one of my favorite people on earth. But yeah, I mean, it's and I think that what you just said is really important. And I think it's I just want to touch on it quickly. Like the people who work 50, 60 hours a week, and they have kids, and they have soccer practice, they got to mow their lawn, they got to go to the grocery store. That's all by design. I mean, George Carlin spoke about this decades ago. They want you smart enough to run the machines, and they're going to keep you busy enough to where you're too tired to understand the world around you, because then you just go to work and you run the machines, and that is by design. So I think it is important for those of us who have the ability and the capacity and the time to do those things, to do it, and then, you know, do what we can to, you know, share the knowledge with whomever is willing to accept it, because that is absolutely by design. They want to keep us dumb. And I don't mean that in like a condescending way. That they just want to keep us dumbed down, you know what I mean? So that we're not questioning the way that things are working around us, that we're not questioning or looking at the man behind the curtain. So we only have time to be a wage slave, and not to fight back about anything that's happening to us. And that's, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we need to overcome in order to fight back.
Yeah, well said. And this is something that we've been hitting on a lot. Like I'm an advocate of intellectual discipline out of the working class for us not to be dumb. We need to be compassionate. And I'm not talking about educated. I'm talking about us being wise, us giving each other information. And that's why I push back against this psyop that I seen where there's like this big anti-woke psyop. And we all understand the difference. There's woke imperialists, cultural imperialists, people who virtue signal. But I see the greater overall psyop of anti-wokeness is the establishment attempt to rob people of empathy and rob people of intellectual curiosity. And if you have intellectual curiosity, and if you have empathy, if you have empathy towards people, they say, "Oh my God, you're woke," and that's a coordinated attack. And there's that hypocrisy that we both know where we got virtue signalers that need to be called out. But for the most part, there's nothing wrong with having empathy and learning more and trying to better yourself. And the American ruling class saw they made a giant mistake with the 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
The 40-hour work week. So then now they're like, we're taking that shit back. 40-hour. If you got 40-hour work week, I'm about to say who has a 40-hour work week. I don't know one who has 40-hour work week. Well, you guys never see my brothers around here. No one got a 40-hour work week. If you do, you're blessed.
Yeah.
You're blessed.
100%.
They took that away. They took that away because they don't want people to focus on learning stuff. They don't want people to focus on organizing. They don't want people to look around, figure out how they can fix their society and neighborhoods. So that's exactly to your point. But I think you want to try me. Any last things you want to say?
I just want to say the woke thing, that is another example of a label or a phrase being co-opted and used to divide.
Absolutely.
And that is, it's just, and there are so many examples, the word progressive, the word conservative, the word right wing, the word, all of these things.
Nothing means anything anymore.
Nothing means anything. And that is, again, by design. They want to be able to use these words. They weaponize these words and terms against us so that we're fighting amongst ourselves. That's all that is every time.
Yeah. So, someone asked me about Andrew Tate in a super chat yesterday, and I was like, I'm not interested in these people that are focused on getting people to fight each other. You know what I mean? I'm not interested in these culture warriors, and I think that is what we got pushed back against as a working class. We got to emphasize us coming together as a community and us making each other better and organizing together. These people who try to make this game a rat race where we constantly competing each other, we constantly comparing how many cars we have. That's a waste of time. That's the rat race. Like there's these people out here that just want you to chase the rat race, and that follows down the line of celebrity worship. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah,
I want to get into some stories. Because, as we said earlier, nothing means anything anymore. I know CJ, he's gonna cover this. I think we may have time depending on when you join. Trump called for peace in Ukraine, and now compare that to people on the left and progressives, where you're not even allowed to even mention this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but there's like this confusion on the right where like there's still like establishment Republicans. I'm talking about like 80% of them. 80% of them vote for the Ukraine war. So I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll cover this story here very soon. How like there's like this messaging problem here. We got Trump calling for peace. You got literally Fox News who saber rattles over Ukraine. You got Tom Cotton that says that Biden is extremely weak on Russia. So we probably get into that a little bit as well. I want to show this video. I want to actually start here because I want to get your thought on this. I just saw this and I want to share it with my audience because we often talk about the corruption of the Ukrainian government. And this is something that many people used to talk about all the time.
Yeah.
And now it's like been erased. And I want to share this video. And this is a very short clip from Bill Gates. And this is how people used to talk all the time about Ukraine. Once again, very short. Just listen to this.
The Ukrainian government is one of the worst in the world. Corrupt, controlled by a few rich people. I mean, really unfortunate for the people in Ukraine.
Once again, let's hear it one more time. Only 10 seconds. But this is Bill Gates explaining Ukrainian corruption.
Government is one of the worst in the world. Corrupt, controlled by a few rich people. I mean, really unfortunate for the people in Ukraine.
And the ruling class has a vested interest in covering this up because if it becomes public knowledge and they continue to talk about Ukrainian corruption, then people might start asking questions about Why are we sending all this massive money and weapons to a country that is corrupt? Right,
Right?
Mickey? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. It's crazy. We're sending billions upon billions upon billions of dollars, tanks and all kinds of shit to a country we know. Like, this is, like you said, this was common coverage like before February or March of last year. Like a year ago, people were talking about the fact that Ukraine is incredibly corrupt. There are Nazis embedded in their military. All of that stuff was common knowledge, talked about by every mainstream media outlet, from the AP to Fox News to CNN. Bill Gates is even talking about it. And we're still sending them gazillions of dollars with no oversight. And everybody's just like, yeah, totally, we should do that. No, we absolutely should not do that. And that doesn't make me a Putin puppet, you fools. Oh,
You're not
so
Putin's
stupid.
buddy.
God, it's so stupid.
You're called a Putin puppet if you advocate for peace now.
Right? It's so dumb. And that, again, by design. That's why this whole lead up of Russia Gate and all of that shit where, you know, Russia was made into this boogeyman and Putin was made into this boogeyman, this evil. And listen, I've said this a million times. It doesn't matter how many times I say it, though. People will still call me like a Putin lover. I don't like Putin. I don't think you become a world leader unless you are a psychopath. And he is a world leader and is likely a psychopath. And he has done some really terrible things. But it is beyond absurd to ignore the United States involvement in the situation in Ukraine over not just since 2014, but over decades. This is not like Putin woke up one day and was like, I'm going to invade Ukraine because he's like this crazy. No, this has been developing for a long time. He's been warning about it for a long time. Intellectuals and world leaders, even Henry Kissinger warned about this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like it just poof came out of nowhere. This has been developing for a long time, but you can't talk about that. If you talk about that, then suddenly you love Putin. I don't love Putin. I think it's absurd that we're sending that amount of money. And there's been like no declaration of war. No American voter has voted on the support of Ukraine. It's crazy.
No
It
debate.
is insane.
No debate.
None.
Like, you have reporters that have to force politicians to speak about this.
Yeah.
For example, you have Max Blumenthal who called out Joe Manchin.
Max.
He's like, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in. Like, that's the only time we can get soundbite, when we had Nick Brana call out Bernie Sanders for supporting Ukraine war. He said, who you pay for? You know how this is the only time we get sound bites on these people on this conflict. They purposely avoid talking about it. Like Marianne dodges this question like her life depend on it. And you would think that politicians would be extremely interested in talking about a giant, massive geopolitical conflict that has massive implications on the global working class, but they do not, because they know they're in the wrong. If you're really fighting this fight for justice, if you're really fighting this evil dictator, why are you afraid to talk about that?
Right? Why can't you back up that assertion? Why can't you just tell me in your own words why that's a good thing and that why we need to be doing that? And again, sending billions of unaccountable dollars to a country with a known corrupt government. It's known. Like, I know that they want to like pretend that that's not reality, but that's reality. It's been discussed for a very long time. And so the idea that none of them want to even just have a conversation about why they're okay with voting to send that amount of money with no oversight at all. There's no accountability. We have no idea where that money's going. Well, we know where that money's going. It's going into the pockets of the top 0.1% and the military industrial complex CEOs and all of that stuff. We know where it's going, but we don't have any accounting of it. And that's absurd on its face. Like, that is a crazy thing to even bring up. Like, that's just, we don't have healthcare, but we can send gazillions of dollars into one of the world's most corrupt countries. Make that make sense.
The Republicans, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and a few others said that we need to launch investigations on every single penny that we are sending to Ukraine. And then the media melted down like that was an insane far right ask.
Right? And honestly, I'm not convinced that that's not by design, that those people are being used as like the kind of the dog whistle, like, oh, look, it's the crazy pants Marjorie Taylor Greene asking. That's an absurd idea. It's not an absurd idea. I don't like her, but I absolutely agree with her on that. There needs to be accountability. There needs to be government oversight. Have we learned nothing from our past wars and the fact that war is a racket? General Smedley Butler's been talking about it for how long now? When did that come out? I mean, ages ago, y'all. This is not something new. And the idea that we're doing this again, like people who lived through Iraq are still going for this. And you mentioned Marianne Williamson. I mean, when we pulled out of Afghanistan, we didn't really pull out of Afghanistan. She was trying to claim that we're in war for the women and children. Like, that's who she is. You know what I mean?
You guys, the only people who like Marianne Williamson are the people who have no idea what her positions are.
She doesn't know what her positions are. They change whenever it's convenient, whenever it's politically advantageous.
And then she deletes tweets when she get called out. Good luck finding those Afghanistan tweets again. Like, you see, like, anti-imperialists clearly remember this stuff.
Yes.
She deleted, and then
I remember it because I know that WikiLeaks revealed that was a CIA strategy. It was used in particular in France, that was the story that they were pushing out on that population to get them to support that war, is that, oh, well, we have to do it for the women and children. And they were appealing to people's emotional kind of do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a very easy, like, emotional manipulation.
Yeah,
the women and children.
CNN too. They were saying that stuff on CNN and MSNBC.
Of course, in particular, it was used in France. Like, that was the big thing there. Sure. But it's used everywhere because it's a very effective tool to manipulate and manufacture consent for war. But I remember that she did that for sure, because I'm like, you are supposed to be a Julian Assange supporter, and listen, she's done some good stuff on Julian Assange. I don't want to discredit that. She has, after Jimmy Dore turned her around, because that's something she's also changed her position on. But she has since then done some good work. But when she put that on, I'm like, homegirl, you read WikiLeaks, right? Like, that Julian Assange revealed that that's a CIA tactic, and that was used to manufacture support for the war in Afghanistan. And it's just so absurd. You know what I mean? Like, it's so frustrating to me that this is something that we're doing again. How many times?
I want to show you guys this, because I think this is a great clip to show you how other people feel on foreign policy. And I grilled Marianne on the two-state solution. I really wish I had opportunity to do more on Ukraine. But people wonder why we take foreign policy so seriously, why U.S. imperialism must be resisted, and why we have zero tolerance for people who enable imperialism. People say, oh my God, RBN's being so mean to people. No, we're not mean to anti-imperialists.
You know who's like, do you want to know who's like people are being mean to? The people of Syria, the people of Yemen, the people of Iran, the people of, you know what I mean? Venezuela, the people of Cuba. Like, those are the people. I don't feel bad about being mean to rich white ladies.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I don't.
If that's my criticism, I will die on that hill.
Yeah.
I want to show you guys how serious other people take U.S. war crimes. I'm gonna show you guys this lady in the Donbass. So this person I am about to show you has been erased by the quote-unquote Ukraine flag waving left. These are the people who say, we should have regime change in Russia. We need to go to war against Russia because I stand with the Ukrainian people. Except that one over there. And that one over there in Odessa. And that one over there in Luhansk. Nope. There's a few there's a few Ukrainians we stand for. Now I'm gonna give you guys an example. How many times do you hear the NATO left reference the opinions of the people in the Donbass and Luhansk and these people that have undeniable pro-Russian tendencies? Whether you agree with that or not is irrelevant. Zoya come on these shows all the time and explain the long-standing cultural connection, especially between people in Odessa, where she grew up from, in the USSR, in Russia. And then you have Matt Duss, Bernie Sanders, foreign policy advisor, that tried to gaslight as many people as possible, saying he was like, "Oh, there's no connection between Ukraine and Russia." He was trying to paint it as it's like the United States flying across the ocean in Iraq, and this has been a coordinated effort for people to whitewash the reality that Ukraine is a deeply divided country, just like Somalia is a deeply divided country. You have people who in this conflict that are violent on both sides. You have one side that said they are willing to sell out their resources to U.S. companies, so the United States support that side. That is the side that Ilhan Omar helped raise support for regime change for, and that's why she got booed by a bunch of Somalians at her hometown, because she meddled and literally got the United States involved in what is otherwise a divided country. If you're anti-imperialist, you let countries figure out their issues on their own.
And a lot of that division is because there's CIA infiltration.
Yes.
that is causing that division, that is going in there and stoking the kind of, you know what I mean? That we're real good at that. We're really, really good at that. That is what we do. That's not me making it up. There's historical precedent for that. And so a lot of that so-called division has been manufactured entirely by the United States and NATO.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Let me see. I like showing this one because I like showing this receipt because this receipt is from Jacobin. You know what I mean? So if this is something that Jacobin tweets and publishes, that means there is no excuse for the NATO left to repeat their talking points. That's why I use this source, Misty. That's exactly why.
Yeah.
Because if Jacobin can tweet this and post this, there is no excuse for being ignorant on this.
None.
The CIA may be breeding Nazi terror in Ukraine.
Maybe. Of course they are.
Yeah.
It's what they do. It's what they do. And it's what they've always done. Seriously, you guys, again, this is not like just me, some random chick from Ohio talking out of her ass. There's like actual evidence to support the fact that this has been done numerous times over. It's not.
Yeah, I got some. Yeah, I have a thread. I have a stream I'm going to do. I want to do it alone because it's literally gonna be me reading all the receipts on Nazis in Ukraine. It is literally this has been a stream I've been pushing back for like maybe 10 days now because I'm gonna show you. There's this site I might send to you, Misty, where someone put together all of the evidence. They put together all the articles of media used to report on it.
Nice.
I was going through like, holy shit.
Yeah, send that to me. I want to see it. My friend Alex Rubinstein has done amazing work.
If I go through
exposing a lot of that.
If I go through my bookmarks, I would plan on doing like maybe Nick at Night where I literally just go through all the receipts.
Do it. That needs to be done.
Yeah. It is something I keep putting off, but it's coming very soon because not like necessarily a time extensive segment. I do gotta do it though. Meanwhile, I'll put this receipt up because this show what Missy was referring to. I'm gonna play this video. This is what I originally set up. I'm gonna show you guys what this woman from Odessa had to say about the United States and the conflict in Ukraine. I don't want to spoil it, so let's hear what she has to say. She's speaking in a foreign language, so I'm a big screen it, lower the volume, and I'll read it off. She asked this question, so I'm sure that she was asked it, so she's repeating it, right? How can it end? Well, first of all is Donbass. We have the most hardworking people here. I've studied and worked in Donetsk. It's the most beautiful city. It goes from 0 to 60 real quick. The hard work and stoicism of our people, our men and women, will lead to our victory by all means. I don't consider the United States to be human. Sorry. You know the history perfectly well. They start war anywhere. All their wealth is acquired through wars. They don't care about people. What can you say about a nation like this? Because everything started from that side, the United States and NATO. Missy, now you see why the NATO left? And Matt,
she's 100% right. And I love her.
Now you see why they erase these people, Misty?
Yeah.
They erase the pro-Russian Ukrainians. I showed you guys the BBC article that is now 9 years old, where they literally did a segment talking about all the Ukrainians who secretly want to be Russian. It was a giant thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let me continue this what she said here. She says, "What can you say about a nation like this? Because then she says, yeah, what can you say about a nation like this? Because everything they started from that side, the United States and NATO, the European Union has already completely disgraced themselves.
Uh-huh.
They used to be normal. France and Germany. What are they like now? United States, they're United States colony. Like, she's killing it.
Yeah, I love her.
They said they used to be normal. They used to have their mind on right. Now they war hawks like the United States. Moreover, nobody goes into detail that the war was started by Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
She's on fire, Misty. She's on fire. Yeah, sorry. I'll play it again. Treacherously by Kirkinov, you may remember. You literally hear a bomb go off too, and everybody just blaming Russia, Russia, Russia. You hear what she's saying? There's a lady. Actually, I think they said Donbass. Yeah, this is a Donbass woman, right? And she's literally calling out NATO. She calling out France, Germany, and then she says everybody just blaming Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia has never started any wars, but always won them.
She's not wrong.
Not wrong. Where's the Russian imperial flags in Africa?
Where's the 1,000 military bases that Russia's got all across the globe? Where's that? Where's the countries that Russia is illegally occupying right now? Which some would argue that they're occupying Ukraine. I would disagree with that, but it's still like somebody on Twitter today said something. Somebody was arguing with them said something about how the United States is like a occupier and fascist, and then they were like, "Oh, it sounds like you're describing Russia," and I'm like, dude. The entirety of what Russia has done in Ukraine over the past year, like a little less than a year, that's a fucking Tuesday for the United States.
Right.
The entirety of everything that they have done. We do that on a Tuesday. Like there is no comparison. It is beyond absurd to even try to make one. Again, not a Putin fan, but let's be real. Can we?
Yeah. And I want to show you guys a clip of the Biden administration not being able to answer why are they so sympathetic to the Ukrainian, why they aren't sympathetic to Palestinians like they are the Ukrainian resistance. and that's like that's the point you made right now, where people pretend that Russia is doing all this crazy thing in Ukraine. Yeah. Like the amount of civilians that the United States killed in like the first month outweighs the amount the Russians killed in Ukraine.
We are the fucking terrorists. Like we support dictators all over the world, the ones that we like and installed. If anybody dares to speak against us, then we suddenly need to go to war with their country and overthrow their government and install somebody who will be our little puppet. That is what we do. That is 100% what we do. We are the United States. I say it all the time. The United States government is by far the world's largest terrorist organization, period, in history, period. There is no It's not even close. It is not even close. Not even close.
Look at what she said. She said she don't even see the United States as human. And
I don't blame her. I don't blame her.
That's most of the global population.
Yes, now, and I don't blame them. Y'all, look at what we do. We need we need a gut check. We need a big look in the mirror moment as Americans. We are not the good guys. We are never the good guys. And this whole thing that I'm supposed to believe that we actually care about the people of Ukraine. We don't even care about the people of this country. And I'm supposed to believe we care about Ukrainians? Of course we don't. We're using them. We are using Ukraine and the Ukrainian people as cannon fodder in a proxy war against Russia in order to weaken them and launder money. That is what that is. We don't give a shit about Ukrainians, period. And by we, I mean our government. Obviously, I care about Ukrainians. Nick cares about Ukrainians. But our government does not give two shits about the Ukrainian people. Not one.
The NATO left really believes that Jim Crow Joe is sending weapons to Ukrainians because he cared deeply about them.
Yeah, right.
That's what they really believe. Anyway, her last statement is pretty powerful as well. She talked about how Russia never started a war. They win them. She also says, we are Russians. You see, we are in Russia. Going back to the fact that Russia held a referendum, and these people wanted Russia to do this for years. The same with Crimea. They held a referendum in Crimea. Crimea overwhelmingly, 75% rate, wanted to be part of Russia. And now you have Ukraine and their supporters that say it's not even about peace anymore. It's not even about stopping the invasion of Ukraine. It's about going back on the offensive and now taking lands back from Russia, like Crimea. People who don't even want to be part of Ukraine. They want to force this lady who obviously identified with Russia, sympathetic to Russia, but lives in the Donbass. They want her to forcibly be a part of the fascist regime in Ukraine that banned the Russian language, that banned the Orthodox Church, banned opposition political parties for being quote-unquote pro-Russia, which essentially means these parties are like, let's go back to the Minsk agreement. Let's not fight war and ethnically cleanse our countries. And then Zelensky banned them for being pro-Russian.
And banned oppositional media. And in fact, Twitter is banning independent journalists like Alina Lip, who are reporting in the Ukraine. So it's good to see that Elon Musk is really keeping up that free speech thing. Way to go, bud.
I think we did a Nick and Missy show one day, and we were literally laughing at the idiots. And this is like maybe 4-5 months ago, maybe longer, where we were laughing at all the idiots who thought that Elon Musk was going to leave.
I've been calling him out for years. It is beyond absurd that anybody thinks Elon Musk is going to be the savior of free speech. I mean, you guys, I don't even know what to say about that. And it's very clearly not happening. It's very clearly not happening.
Twitter is worse than ever. Like, it literally, and everyone been saying this, it's literally a bunch of viral tweets that being posted on people's timeline, a bunch of like right-wing reactionary Twitter stuff, because they get a lot
of tons of censorship. I was hardcore shadow banned. Like, I'm always fucked with, but for like 2 months, I was hardcore shadow banned.
I don't
like hard.
Tweets. I gotta literally like, because I have you and a few other people on my notifications. I don't see your shit unless that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I ever scroll on the timeline, I would never see you or any member from RBN. I would literally have to go through my notification tweets to see I literally, and then that's my suggestion to people. I know it sounds creepy, I know it sounds stalkery, but if you want to see people's tweets,
you have to you have to turn on your notifications. I remember it's so funny that you say that's stalkery, because Indy from INN, he was like, he DM'd me, he's so cute. He DM'd me, he's like, hey, just so you know, I never see your tweets, so I'm gonna put you on notifications. So don't like think I'm stalking you. It's fine, dude.
Oh yeah. If you guys see me liking your tweets, I'm probably stalking you, because I don't see your tweets. I probably don't see your tweets.
Well, he knows that I do have like legitimate stalkers, so I think but I'm like, dude, you're my friend. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, we hyping each other up. That's the good kind of stalker.
Yeah.
So big shout out to our man Jay. Happy birthday.
Hi, Jay.
Much love to you guys. Jay, our social media coordinator and also friend. Jay has been powerful for a while. Thank you for another $50. Jay. Yes. Trump was an insanely anti-Russian president. This is one of the things I used to say all the time when I used to debunk Russiagate.
Lee Camp did a great segment on this.
Absolutely. Like Lee Camp did great Russiagate coverage. Jimmy was great on the Russiagate coverage. All these people.
Aaron Matei, obviously, great
Aaron
job.
Matei, absolutely. Yep. The Graves on all the people has been great on that. Anyone who been paying attention, I didn't have platform back there, but like I would see the stuff that like Trump did. Like he literally did something that Barack Obama and Biden didn't do. He approved CIA cyber attacks into Russian infrastructure. I'm talking about Russian financial infrastructure. And Barack Obama didn't do that because he thought that would be too it would be too escalatory. Then Trump did cyber attacks in Russia, and they still call him weak. Trump pulled out of the nuclear arms agreement between the United States and Russia, and they still say he's pro-Russian.
I think they use Trump to do a lot of that stuff because obviously Barack Obama is very legacy minded. Like I don't think he's too narcissistic. Like he really wants to be seen as the good guy, right? Like he's like, that's why he didn't arrest Julian Assange. He really wanted to, but they knew that Trump would do it. Trump's got no problem doing that kind of stuff. So I think they used him for a lot of that stuff because he doesn't care.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm going to continue the super chat. Jay, drop us some knowledge here. He explained how Trump was an insanely anti-Russian president. Despite what media said, he still armed the eyes off Nazis. That's another thing that people mentioned. Just not every 30 seconds. And he pulled out of that literally what I didn't read ahead. That literally what I was just talking about. Anti-nuclear proliferation treaty. You see how Jay said it smarter than me. Where Russia and heavily criticized Europe's dependency on Russian energy. I remember that too.
Yep.
I remember that. Much love, Pat. Thank you guys for the super chats and the birthday wishes. Much love and solidarity to all of you guys. Off topic, do you think Bernie even wanted to win?
No.
like don't get Mrs. started on this. But I will
go off.
I want to get your thoughts on this. 'Cause I love when you go off. But now, I was on the Bernie campaign. Misty probably used to see my tweets and used to cringe. But I was friends with Misty back then. I was one of the people that, even though I like Bernie and Misty, you can test this too. I would see Misty go off on Bernie. I'm like, damn, she makes some good points. I would never get mad. Like people get mad.
I can't tell you the number of people that blocked me, and then after like a year or two, they came back and they're like, hey, I blocked you, but I just want to let you know you were totally right. Not that I'm like patting myself on the back that I was like so super right, but a lot of people came around. I'm just happy that you never like got mad enough to block me.
That don't make no sense. Like, I'm gonna get mad because you criticize a politician. Even when I like Bernie, guys, even when I was literally part of the campaign, I would hear criticism from people like Misty. I'll hear Jimmy. I was hearing Jimmy. I'm like, oh damn, those are good points.
I was so glad when Jimmy came around. I was so glad when Jimmy came around.
Yeah,
I was like, because I was like, he's gonna hold on to this for too long. Because I think Jimmy is honestly, like, people talk a lot of shit about him, but I think he is honestly very loyal. And I think that's why he didn't talk shit about Cenk for the longest time, despite the fact that they trashed him. He kept his name out of his mouth, out of like this kind of respect. I think he holds on to that loyalty a lot, which, I mean, that's respectable. But I think when, like you said, it's a politician, like, I got no time for that. Yeah, Bernie never wanted to win, neither time, frankly. But in particular, 2020, absolutely not.
If I was smarter and if I knew about Matt Duss, that would have been a big thing, because Matt Duss horrifies me.
Yes, he's a horrible person.
I didn't say this receipt, but I may do a segment on it later. I saw it like in passing where Matt Duss recently gave an interview where he was asked about Biden sending tanks over. And he was like, yeah, this only can lead to good things.
Yeah, everybody knows that tanks are like so beneficial to everyone involved. It's just great. It's good times.
So, like, I heard a lot of Bernie people feelings now, like the way he used to. Like, if you guys don't miss it, like, she was like one of the earliest people, like, you guys are your goddamn mind supporting Bernie?
Yeah.
And a lot of people should listen. Like, now I'm like, you have Matt Duss as your foreign policy advisor. I'm not even saying you lost anymore. Like, we will be going through the same thing right now if Bernie Sanders was president.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The exact same thing. I mean, he would put like a little kinder face on it, and he would, like, the rhetoric would be, I say it all the time. There is no difference between the parties or the politicians. The only thing that changes is the demographic that they pander to and the rhetoric that they use. That's the only thing that changes. And some of them, like I said, I think Trump was used in a different way than Barack Obama was used, and Joe Biden's being used in a different way than they were both used. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they kind of figure out the best way that they can push their agenda. And by them, I mean the ruling class, the ruling, whatever you want to call them. They all work for, all of these presidents are just figureheads for those people. And so they just use them however they can best use them at the time. So, and yeah, Bernie would be no different whatsoever. I mean, he's done nothing. He's done nothing. And in 2020, he 100% went into that knowing he was going to lose. He lied to you. He manipulated you. He gaslit you. He stole your money. I mean, he promised you something and never intended on delivering it, and people donated. That's what makes me
to be a grifter. Like, Misty, everyone throws the term grifter out all the time.
That's a grifter. Right?
Like,
politicians are the height of grift. Are you joking? Like, people call me a grifter, and I'm like, because I'm criticizing politicians, that is a grifter. People who promise you things and take your money and then don't deliver, that is a grift. That's the definition of the word grifter. And that's what made me, that's why I know a lot of people held on to Bernie after 2016. And I realized that, like, a lot of people were desperate for, like, somebody to hold on to. Like, everybody we all know we're in a really desperate situation, and people want to believe that there's somebody that can get us out of it. But I could not. After 2016, in 2016, I volunteered for the Bernie campaign. I went to rallies, I phone banked, I did all those things. And in doing that, I met people who were literally skipping meals so that they could send Bernie $10. And he threw them under the bus, sold them out, and then not only gave his word of support to, but went out and stumped harder for Hillary Clinton than she stumped for herself. And she is the personification of everything that he claims to be against. Yep. And the fact that he was so willing to do that and could not be bothered to put up even the tiny, WikiLeaks gave him everything he needed to challenge that primary. And he couldn't be bothered. And in fact, he stood up there at the convention and told everybody to calm down, and we got to get behind Hillary Clinton. Fuck you. Fuck you. Yeah. Like, it's people, they keep trying to pretend like he's like this nice guy who just is, he's doing the best that he can. No, that's not a nice guy. That's not a good person. Good people don't do that. Good people don't call war criminals their good friends. Okay. If that's your friend, get better friends.
Yeah. So once the term grifter in the year 2023 has been used to describe someone I do not like. Oh my God. The person I do not like is a grifter. Now, the original intention of the word grifter is people who make money by telling you something that they don't believe. That's what a grifter is, right? So they will call you or me a grifter because they will say, the only reason you criticizing Bernie, the only reason you say you're not voting Democrat because you try to get monetary gain out of that. As if that makes sense.
And we talked about this last time. Where's my monetary gain? None of my channels have ever been monetized. I don't make any money doing this. I never have. I've been doing it for years for fucking free. So please tell me where my grift is.
If
I'm
I
still
was
waiting for somebody to show me.
if I was grifting, I came up with the worst business plan of all time. Like, have you guys seen Black Trumpers? Like, I could be Terrence Williams. If I was a grifter, I could be out here telling you how great Trump is right now, making hella money. Like, imagine.
And let's also be clear that people who do ask for Patreons or donations, they are not grifters. They are doing work. Like, you should get compensated for your work. And it's really weird to me that people on the left. Do you want Nick to do this for free? Dude's got to eat. He has to pay his bills. He's providing a service. And furthermore, nobody's forcing you to fucking become a Patreon. It is at your will. If you like Nick and you like the work that he's doing and you find his voice to be valuable, you make the choice to donate. That's not a grift.
All our content is free too. All our content is free too. But the point is, Bernie Sanders told you that he believes in the political revolution so he can donate to you, without any intentions of doing a political revolution. That is quite literally what
grift.
it means to be a grifter.
That is a grift.
And I remember I tweeted, I was like, Bernie Sanders is a grifter. And I had that tweet got like thousands of likes, but also had so many raging, like, you can literally tell they had tears in their eye. Bernie fans, how dare you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, nigga, that is literally the definition of what a grifter means.
That's literally the definition. Like, again, words don't mean anything. Words mean nothing.
Nothing means anything.
But hey, E. Heller, you're right. Yes, I do spend an ass ton of money on t-shirts and buttons and signs and banners and all of that stuff. I am well in the hole. Like, thousands of dollars, maybe tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm not saying that to like big up myself. I do it again by choice. But the whole Mr. You're a Grifter thing is so fucking ludicrous that I'm at the point now where it just makes me angry. Yeah, like, just stop. There's plenty of things to criticize me about. Like, don't lie. You don't have to lie. There's plenty of things to criticize me on that are legit.
At this point when I see it, I'm like, man, they got nothing else. That's good. When I see it, I smile like, damn, they got nothing else. That's all they have. That's all they have on me. So I'm glad I invited you on for my birthday stream, Misty. It's always fun.
I used to have trolls that would be like, we're going to expose you, TikTok. That was like years ago. Like 3 years ago, I had like, it was like for a year, the whole TikTok thing. Like, I'm still waiting, motherfuckers. Expose my grift, please. Please, I invite it. Please expose it. I would love for you to do that. Love it. Please do it.
I want to, I'll start this chat while I get a chance. I wish I had been wiser in 2020. But Bernie's campaign was still an important lesson for me. If I wanted to repeat that lesson with Marianne Williamson, wouldn't that mean I didn't learn it the first time?
Yeah, I learned it in 2016. Maybe you're young. I don't know. Maybe 2020 was like your first go around. And listen, it's okay if you didn't get it in 2016. Not getting it after 2020.
It's kind of weird.
It's a little suspect. I mean, I just genuinely, I don't understand those people or what it would take for them.
I want to make this point as well, because you mentioned that you organized on the 2016 Bernie campaign. I organized on 2020 Bernie campaign. And you got to notice how we both done. You got to know the people that is all for Marianne Williamson 2024, the people who asking for Bernie to run again, are the people who did jack shit. Yeah. And it's actually worse than that. That statement not even strong enough, because not only the people who haven't done jack shit, it's the people who profit from it. So the people going to stay in their air-conditioned studios, make a ton of money off the Bernie campaign. They're the one who wants to do the strategy again. Meanwhile, if you look at all the people who actually worked on these campaigns, the working-class proletariat that invest their money, resources, time, and labor, we are the ones who are like, why the fuck are we doing this again? Meanwhile, Crystal Ball, the millionaire who we know not knocking on doors, she's like, oh my God, third-party people need to grow up. Are you going to be on the floor?
No.
Are you going to be on the ground?
Absolutely not.
No. So
we couldn't even get her to come to an Assange rally. Like Andrew ran up to her on the streets of DC and was like, hey, we're having an Assange rally tomorrow. You should really come. She's like, yeah, I'll totally come. She didn't come. She didn't fucking come. Of course not.
Be around ordinary people. Ew.
Right? Well, it's like Marianne Williamson. Like, really, you're going to go with Marianne Williamson? She is right now already. It hasn't even, like, the primary season hasn't even started yet. She's already out there praising Joe Biden. That's who you're going to go with? Oh, really?
And the Bernie media industrial complex is manufacturing consent towards her. And they are melting down because RBN, who hate access journalism and this bullshit, we are calling it out. We're calling it out. Anyway, I'm going to continue to super chat, cut halfway off. Actually, no, I got it. Never mind, I'm tripping. So I think there was another one I missed. But anyway, Jay is another example. Like our social media coordinator, Jay, he worked on the AOC's campaign, and he's been aggressively calling out AOC since then, and he's done. So you had us two worked on the Bernie campaign.
Jay must want to date her.
Yeah, Jay, who worked on the AOC campaign, and he was only upset because she didn't accept his date proposal, I guess.
Right. Or he's racist.
Or he's racist. Or
sexist.
So,
or all three, maybe.
So to sum it up, there's a bunch of people who love the vibes of the progressive movement, whether they are professional managerial class,
they're hipster liberals.
They enjoy the election, the dialogue. And then there are the PMCs who benefit from the election, whether they get a job on the campaign or they benefit via media, who want this to happen again. And then there are people who was on the ground who actually put in the work. Jay, I see you. He said no. And then you have the people on the ground who's like, we're done. So my question to the Marianne 2024 people and the people who for this progressive Democrat strategy, where are you guys finding your organizers? You're about to be organizing with a bunch of shit libs. And then since you guys lost the original organizers, you stand no chance. The same with Nina Turner. They're like, we couldn't get enough people on the ground. We couldn't drive out the vote because you told people they're going to be disappointed in you.
Well, who's going to get out for seriously? I'm asking this genuinely because Nina pisses me off because she could be cool. Like she has she's a very good communicator. She's a very fiery speaker. She could actually get out and really energize a legitimately revolutionary movement. Like she could do that. She chooses to stay inside the Democratic Party and then she puts up these very vague criticisms of the thing that they do. But then she stays. But who's going to get out for Nina Turner? Why would you go out for Nina Turner? You know what you're going to get. You're going to get another Democrat. Why the fuck? Who cares? Who cares? You're not going to do shit for me. You're not going to be any different. She's proven that time and time and time and time again. Why would you bother? I wouldn't get out in the street for Nina Turner. No fucking way. It's a waste of my time. It's absolutely a waste of time. I guess I'm a little biased because I feel like the electoral system, period, is a waste of time, money, energy, and resources. We're not ever going to get anything from participating in it. I'm not telling you not to vote. If you want to vote, go vote. I'm not telling you not to volunteer. If you want to, listen, I don't tell people what to do, but I am not going to waste my time ever again. Never again.
Yeah, well, so I remember we had you on for the third party summit, and you was there telling me to make the argument that this electoral politics shit, not where it's at, period.
No, third party. Listen, I get the whole, we need a third party. A third party in this system is dead where it stands. It's dead before it even gets started. They will never allow for a third party to gain any traction. They control the entire system, y'all. They control everything. You cannot play the game by their rules that they can change, by the way, anytime that they want to and expect to win. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news here and the Debbie Downer, as AOC would say, but third parties are never going to gain traction in this. As long as we have this current system, we are fucked as far as electoral politics goes. Period. That's just the way that it is. We're going to have to get in the streets. We're going to have to get very creative. We're going to have to stick together, start organizing outside of the system.
That's the hard work that people don't want to do.
Yes, they don't want. Yeah, because it is hard.
That's the hard work that people don't want to do, and that's exactly why I say that. And everyone numbers different. Missy numbers much lower. Rome numbers much lower. But I would say maybe 10 to 15% of our energy at best go to electoral politics. And if you are putting that energy towards electoral politics, it better not be through the two-party duopoly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For sure. That was even more served to me. So anyway, I want to move on to, I have a few more stories I want to get to. And this kind of relates. We're going to pivot back to Ukraine. This is kind of a follow-up story. And CJ, I see you in the back. Y'all know CJ going to join soon. I've been holding on to the Trump story. Misty, I want to make sure that you here for that one as well. I was going to cover it early, but decided to wait to CJ join because I want to get CJ's reaction to Trump calling for peace in Ukraine. And I'm just interested, the dynamic of that, where you're going to have Trump criticizing the Democratic Party from the left on starting World War III when they told everybody that Donald Trump was unhinged and he would start World War III. That's why I think it's fascinating. So I was saving that story for when CJ joins. He's probably going to join us soon. But I want to show you guys this in the meantime before we get to that story. This is a follow-up story of this one where you have this German politician. Actually, I should turn the sound on because I won't play the clip again. You had a German politician that essentially admit that we was at war with Russia. Remember what that lady from the Donbass said? That Germany lost their mind. This person right here is the best example. And this person is a member of the Germany Green Party.
It's very green. War is very green.
War is very green. The European Green Party, like European Green Party, lost their fucking mind. I remember during the third party summit, we told one of the Green Party people that you guys probably should change the name because the Green Party is not a brand. And they gave me an answer that I thought was acceptable at the time. Well, they said, well, the reason why we don't change the name is because we're trying to maintain international solidarity with other Green Parties like in Europe. No, change the fucking name. Change the goddamn name. Because after what I've seen from the Green Party in Europe and like in Germany, for example, don't associate with them. What the fuck y'all doing? But anyway, I'm off tracking here. This is Germany politician. She says she admits. I'll play the video because they pretty much some.
And therefore, I've said already in the last days, yes, we have to do more to defend Ukraine. Yes, we have to do more also on tanks. But the most important and the crucial part is that we do it together and that we do not do the blame game in Europe because we are fighting a war against Russia and not against each other. Thank you.
So there she is. She admits that we are fighting Russia, a war with Russia. Something that if you said before, they would say, oh, you're repeating Russian propaganda. Oh my God, we're not at war with Russia. We're just providing aid for Ukraine. This is a defensive operation. We're not going on offense. This is defensive, right? So this clip obviously played and exposed the lie that the West was spreading. So now Germany is in. Now this is the update to the story. They are in PR damage control mode. Look at this. Germany accuses Russia of twisting Minister of War comments for propaganda.
We are at war with Russia. Oh my God. Look at Russia using propaganda. What the fuck?
You can't make this shit up.
Oh.
So she's admit that Europe is at war with Russia and NATO is at war with Russia. And that's obvious to anyone who's paying attention.
Listen, Keith Olbermann said it in like 2016, right? We're at war with Russia. He's freaking out.
Saying it.
Yeah.
This recent example, like her on this floor, is probably one of the most recent and egregious versions of this, especially considering this is a person who has power. But this is not a new kind of statement. Like you have the EU chief who straight up said, like, this is going to lead with a war with Russia. So
that was always the goal.
Yep.
That was always the goal.
So I always thought that was funny. I thought that was funny because now they're walking this back. It's obvious that Europe, under the direction of the United States, because like that lady from Donbass said, Germany and France are essentially glorified United States colonies. They lost their goddamn mind, and now they're pushing for war. Welcome to the show, CJ. I just now joined you. What's poppin'?
I haven't seen you in ages, dude.
I know. What's up, Misty? What's up, Nick?
Yeah, CJ. So I've been waiting for you to join us to do this story.
Yeah, I'm happy you waited for the Trump story.
Yeah, I was about to leave with it, but I was like, nah, I want CJ here. I want CJ here for this one.
This is the right combination of people for this specific story. This is gonna be beautiful. Watch this. Okay.
Hey, really quick, Jay in the chat said something about Howie Hawkins also being pro-Ukraine. And this is, again, why I say that third parties aren't going to work, because the Green Party has been totally co-opted, and they are now rigging primaries for somebody like Howie Hawkins, who's a Russiagate spewing, Chelsea Manning dead name, Assange smearing turd. And the Green Party now has me blocked on Twitter because I called him out for it. But
Christ.
Yeah. So yeah,
Ajamu called. Yeah, you were about to say the same thing. Ajamu called him out too.
Yeah.
Like y'all have to disconnect from the Howie wing of the party.
Yes.
And dude, I mean, the Green Party has a lot of issues, but I would say that's probably one or two.
There was a bit of a coup.
There
was a bit of a coup inside the Green Party. I
Hawkins,
covered that in real time with Ian Schlackman.
Yeah, Howie Hawkins has done unbelievable amount of damage to not just the Green Party but the third party movement.
Absolutely.
And people like Ajamu acknowledge this as well. That's why Ajamu is calling him out by name, the former vice presidential candidate for Jill Stein. Mm-hmm. So, man, as someone who would love to see a actual left party option for voters, they need to clean that shit up. And I implore all the Green Party people who watch this. I know a few of them. Like, you guys need to embrace the Jill Stein wing of the party. I don't see me criticism Jill Stein wing of the party. She was pretty based on calling out war. She's not falling for the Ukraine nonsense.
She's not perfect, but
she's not perfect.
She's better than Howie fucking Hawkins.
Yeah, sure. So I'll say that. I think that's fair to say.
So this is the problem with parties that Misty brings up, though, because you have a party, everybody come in. That means infiltrators can also come in and do stuff like what he's doing now. But like you always say, Nick, the ruling class has adjusted. The Green Party came in, this is great, and they adjusted. They co-opted it in the same way they co-opt everything. And
they co-opted it, and again, they control the system. A third party is never going to gain traction.
Yeah,
they'll never allow it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I
voted for Jill Stein twice, guys. She's not perfect though. I have my issues with her, but she's way better than Howie Hawkins.
World's difference.
Yeah.
We'll call this the Trump and peace. Trump and peace in Ukraine segment. I just can't believe this. But go ahead, Nick. You can leave.
Yeah, so I want to share this. Here's Donald Trump calling for peace in Ukraine. And when I first previewed this story in the beginning of the show, I was like, nothing means anything anymore. Left, right, it is completely messed up. We have the progressives who unapologetically support the Ukraine war. We have a quote-unquote progressive challenger who's running for president who don't even want to talk about the goddamn issue, apparently. Apparently not even an important issue to even bring up. Meanwhile, we got Donald Trump, the heir apparent to the Republican throne, Ron DeSantis, that scary motherfucker, waiting in the wayside. But imagine this, just the optics of this. You have Donald Trump on the election stage calling out the Democratic Party for funding Nazis and supporting war. This is the reality we are close to getting to. So here's Donald Trump. I want you guys to listen to this. One of the only Western politicians getting this right. What do you guys want us to say? What do you want to say? Everyone getting this wrong. He is one of the few getting this right. And I'm saying one of the few because the Republican Party is against what Trump is saying here. I'm going to show you guys an example of this here very soon, where Fox News is painting Joe Biden as weak on Russia. So, TJ, we're going to explore this dynamic here very soon. There's going to be a giant conflicting messaging campaign that's going to be nothing but funny to watch.
But before you play it, I think people think that Donald Trump is stupid. No, remember the issue he had the last time that swept him into power? His so-called right populism, all the stuff he was saying before they got him to stop saying it when he got elected. He was saying all the right stuff. Don't cut Social Security, all that stuff he was saying.
Yeah.
He's found another issue. That he can use.
Yeah. He supported healthcare. He was
be against the whole establishment, including the Republicans, because he ran against the Republicans his first time. He ran against the Republicans and the swamp. Now this is the swamp. Whoever's on his team, they got some skills in understanding how to play these sort of political games in the red-blue game. It's not going to work on us, but it works on people who are invested.
It works on his base, and he knows his audience. Exactly. He knows them.
So let's play the video, and I'm gonna give you guys a reaction because this is something else. It literally blows my mind. Let's watch this. I got turned up.
Joe Biden is weakness and incompetence. Joe Biden has brought us to the brink of World War III. We're at the brink of World War III, just in case anybody doesn't know it. As president, I will bring back peace through strength. Peace through strength.
Oh my God. What fucking reality am I living through right now? We got fucking Donald Trump talking about peace through strength. That's the guy we got to hear it from. The guy who knows bullshitting.
I thought he was the one who was going to start World War III, like you said earlier, Nick. Like everybody was fear-mongering about, he's so unhinged. He's going to start World War. And now he's the guy talking about peace. And again, like I said earlier, I don't think he's serious. I think that he is, again, he knows his audience. And I think that he's also kind of that Marjorie Taylor Greene, where it's like they want the craziest person possible to talk about something like this, because then it turns an entire segment of the population against it. And people will then support war because Donald Trump's against it, because they're fucking idiots. It's amazing.
You know what level of I have checked out of like just wanting to engage in any sort of critical thinking you have to be to achieve that? Like you have to have been like, no, motherfucker, take that book and that knowledge away from me. Like burning like I don't get it. But go ahead, Nick.
I was playing the beginning and could not too long.
Through weakness and incompetence, Joe Biden has brought us to the brink of World War III. We're at the brink of World War III, just in case anybody doesn't know it. As president, I will bring back peace through strength. Peace through strength would have never happened. If I was president, there would not have been a war with Russia in Ukraine, zero chance, and Lindsey would be happy with that. That's better than any alternative. Wouldn't have happened. And I will say this, even now, despite tremendous loss of lives and destruction of much of that country, I would have a peace deal negotiated within 24 hours. You could make a peace deal, you could make a deal for both right now, 24 hours. Through weakness.
You make a deal. So now there are polls that are showing Ron DeSantis wiping Trump up. Will Ron DeSantis wise up? Because, like, if right now, I said on Jimmy Dore's show that I predict that Trump won't be able to beat Ron DeSantis. But if you had Trump criticizing the Ukraine war, meanwhile Ron DeSantis is repeating the line from Tom Cotton and the rest of Republicans, that's when things get interesting.
The one thing that could get DeSantis, because he's got the, I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want you guys to get, but the Rona stuff. Because DeSantis was excellent on that in regards to their base, and Trump was the guy that fast-tracked the boop.
That's why I predicted that. That's why I predicted Ron DeSantis would win. I literally said it on Jimmy's show.
But this could be the game changer.
Yeah.
This could actually be the game changer, and that's why I said this guy Trump is not that stupid.
No,
because
and don't get it twisted. That doesn't mean him saying that doesn't mean he will actually do it. He's saying it to get elected.
Absolutely not. Like he's not just like the right populism stuff that he didn't do.
Right.
This is just what he realizes, what he or his team realizes, that you don't want to say stuff that people in Washington gonna clap to. You want to say stuff what the people who are going to be voting are going to clap to. And you notice when he said in 24 hours have peace, you notice most of that audience wasn't clapping.
Yeah.
About half of them was clapping because half of them aren't with what he's saying, but he understands, regardless of what these people are saying, the people who are going to come out and vote want to hear this, want to hear what he's saying. And a lot of candidates wouldn't make that decision to go away from their experts that are telling you not to do that.
Yeah.
Even though they're looking at the data, a lot of people would just still kind of, fall in line, but he chooses not to do that. And that's why I said this could actually be a game changer if he really pushes that. Could you imagine, Misty and Nick, Joe Biden's on the stage and he's saying we need to fund the war more. And Trump is saying lives are being lost, millions of dollars. Trump is now talking about, you see the homeless problem we have here, Biden, you're sending $100 billion to Ukraine, but you're not even doing anything about the homeless population. Look at the police. He could even say police killing people without even talking about defunding them. He could say, on your watch, you got police out here killing all the black people.
Yeah.
He could say that.
Dude, Trump had no shame. He would say whatever. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then when you add this war stuff, and you add this war stuff about, and on top of people feeling the pain of eggs being over $10, like people are saying, yeah, why are we sending this money over there? Because I'm paying $10 for eggs, but we're sending $100 billion. So you see how Trump could win this shit based off of just this one stance if they continue this war, which they're gonna do because they want to milk this. Like what Julian Assange says, this is not about winning shit. They don't give a fuck about winning.
No.
This is about milking their pockets. That's it. Lining their pockets. Go ahead, Nick. If you had any other receipts there to show or reactions, because there's reaction on Twitter.
Yeah, actually, I'll pass it to you to show some reactions, and then I want to show you guys another way I want to cover this, and it almost can be in another segment as well. I want to show you guys this contrast, which is going to be hilarious to watch because I explained to you before, despite Trump's rhetoric on this, you had 80% of House Republicans that are voting for the Ukraine war. This is one of the reasons why we predict that Donald Trump is going to be full shit on this issue, even if he wins. If he wins, he's not going to do this because he's not going to butt party leadership and lead
He's not going to piss off the donors and the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
And no, he's going to say that he will because he's smart. I mean, he knows that that's what is going to get him airtime. That's what's going to get him. Not that they won't give him airtime anyways, because that's just what they do. They give him billions of dollars in free airtime, in 2016. But yeah, and this is all theater. It's all theater. It's all theater. Trump and Biden are owned and operated by the exact same people. Period. End of story.
Look what people are able to say. And this is what Shama Sawant and what we also say. This is the Democratic Party establishment open a wide gaping hole for a right populist to just slide on in. This right here, this is one of the issues. Now listen to this, because I think this is this is kind of like a conservative guy. He's saying, no, this is the founder of Callin, I think it said there. Did it say that? Or Get Callin, yeah, founder. I hate to admit it because he's not my preferred candidate, but Trump is the only major political talking sense about Ukraine right now. Just like what you just said, except for the bit on Lindsey Graham. This is just her retweeting our
and the professional managerial class in the boutique left can clutch her pearls all they want, but there are going to be a ton of people say the same thing.
Yep.
They always.
I've already heard it.
Yep.
I've been seeing it on Twitter. You know what I mean?
Here's another one. Yeah. To your point, here's another one saying the same thing. He's the only one talking sense. No matter how much people hate him, but Donald Trump is the only major politician in the West talking sense about Ukraine war right now. A peace deal should be priority number one to save 10,000 lives. I mean, they're opening this lane for him to be able to say that. Donald Trump, MSNBC is reporting on it too. Just don't ask him how he'll pull this off. Why would they add that in there?
He's friends with Putin. He can make a phone call.
I love what Missy said. If he's friends with Putin, he's gonna pull it off, right?
He's friends with Putin. He can just give him a call and say, "Homie, let's do a peace deal. It's all good." Putin got him elected in 2016, so he can.
I mean, couldn't he do it? Or just based off their own narrative, he could do that. Right? He could be like, "Look, y'all said I know Putin."
Yeah.
So I will call up my buddy Putin and say, "Hey, man, let's work out a deal."
Yeah.
But that's what. Look at this is what everybody is pointing out. Now bring this down. Pass it to you, Nick.
No, I was gonna say that'd be funny as hell if he says that one day. Like if he said we should have peace in Ukraine, and they're like, "How are you gonna do it?" He's like, "I thought you guys said I was friends with Putin." That shit would be funny,
I would laugh. I'm not gonna lie. I would laugh hysterically if he did that. I hate
Trump, but that shit would be objectively funny if he did that.
Yes.
Objectively funny.
That would be legendary funny. Like, yes.
Yeah. Any other reactions to that you want to share, CJ? I want to share.
No. That was the only. Just showing how people are pointing out like he's the only one making sense, and this is the lane opening a gaping wide hole for a right populist, a demagogue.
And it's crazy to me that it's Trump and that Democrats are like full force on board. We're gonna fight to the last Ukrainian, like just crazy pants, like full on warmongers. Like, and the Democratic base just it's like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna go. No, like that's so absurd. Like these are the same people that trashed George W. Bush for getting involved in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Yeah. And now all of a sudden, it's like I say all the time, when my team does it, it's fine. When the other team does it, it's the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of ever, and we should all condemn it. Yeah. And it's so stupid. War shouldn't be partisan, y'all. And that's why we need a massive revitalization of the anti-war movement in this country. It is the military-industrial complex is completely out of control. We have an economy of death. Our country runs on bodies. We blow people up for profit. That needs to end now. Like it's again, like that lady that you showed from the Donbass. They don't see us as human. It's because we're fucking terrorists.
Yep.
All over the world. Like we are brutalizing countries all over the globe for profit.
So
what the fuck?
I'm gonna share this story because I feel like back to back these stories go well, because what's going to be interesting is to see how the Republican establishment deals with this, deals with Donald Trump calling for peace in Ukraine. Right now, they don't give a fuck. They're letting it ride because they know this is a good opportunity for Trump to attack Biden. But there's going to be a certain point, and I'm talking about like the summer of 2024, as we get closer and closer to election, where these ideas are going to conflict with each other, and I am interested to see how it plays out. I don't think it's going to play out in the Republican primary. I think Ron DeSantis is smarter. I think he would take Trump's position later. If he run in the primary against Trump, underfunding Ukraine, he's going to get destroyed. So I think they're going to have that. But at the end of the day, how are they going to pull this off? Because I want to show you guys Fox News, who's been doing this for quite some time. When I tell you guys that Tucker Carlson is like I would say one of the only, because I ain't watched all of them, but I would say he's like the only guy who's speaking out against Ukraine on Fox News. I don't want people to think, and I've seen people make the mistake where they say that only Democrats are fighting the Ukraine war. No, Republicans are right there with them.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people I literally seen this. I'm not gonna name names, but I literally seen people that say it's a better idea to vote Republican, at least because they are against the Ukraine war. When people say that as a post-duopoly leftist, I'm like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Come on, man. Stop trying to find excuses to get back into duopoly. Because that what it seems like to me. Let me share this here. And I was about to play the segment, but I decided not to because it's a large waste of time. Because they tell you everything you had to read right here. Because I'm gonna sub this segment. You have Tom Cotton, who is pretending that Biden is weak on Russia. This is the headline. And they pulled this headline from what Tom Cotton was saying. And the reason why I'm going to just read it, because it will take us like 3 or 4
look
minutes.
at that sub headline. Sending just 31 Abrams tanks. Y'all, it's not just 31 Abrams tanks. It's billions and billions of dollars, all kinds of weaponry. It's not just 31 tanks, you turd.
That is a propaganda technique. Like me and CJ, we love breaking down propaganda techniques. When they say just 31.
That's bullshit.
You know, we know what they're doing there.
Yeah.
Right? It's like saying, oh, we only sending just $500 million to Ukraine. And then they say, oh my God, it will cost $20 billion to end homeless. You see the difference in emphasis?
Yeah.
Anyway,
how are we going to pay for that?
Yeah. Look at the headline and subheadline. Biden's Ukraine incompetence made war far bloodier. It's time to deliver what is needed to defeat Russia. And they said just sending 31 tanks to help Ukraine battle Russia is too little, too late. The question is, how many tanks would it have taken? Russia has destroyed hundreds.
How many billions of dollars? Like, what the fuck? Really?
Russia
too little, too late.
Russia destroyed hundreds of tanks without effort.
Yeah.
Without it, but they're gonna send 31 more tanks that not even going to get there in time.
I was just gonna say that.
But you know what's cool though? The people who manufacture those tanks now have to make more tanks because they sent those ones to Ukraine, and so the cycle of money laundering just continues, and those people just continue to get rich because they're, you know, it's like the Raytheon guy, the CEO of Raytheon, when this thing first kicked off and they sent the first round of weapons, he's like, oh, well, we just depleted our inventory. Now we got to fill it back up. This is great for business. They just admit it out loud, and people still support this shit. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So and this 31 tank news, Nick and Misty, this is literally them telling us the war is at least lasting a couple of more years, because how long do you think it takes to make a tank? A couple months? No.
And then you gotta train people. They're like logistics.
Yeah. So those tanks are not even getting there for months or for years, or if not, a few years. Go ahead, Nick.
And I'm glad we had like the same mindset on this story, because what Fox News is gonna pretend that Biden made this cardinal sin by not sending tanks fast enough. Listen to this.
Abrams, as you know, are very sophisticated tanks, and they require significant training. So even as we approved them yesterday, it's going to take some time to get them to the battlefield. So this is not something that's going to appear in time for the spring offensive.
Which underscores what I said. You know, we've been asking for this for 6 months. Had you started 6 months ago, they'd be all ready for the spring offensive. So what happened here? Who's to blame for this?
You know, I think at every stage of this, we have looked at what the Ukraine.
At every stage of this, we tried to figure out how we can draw this war out as long as we possibly can.
And that's what it is.
that's the real answer. She gave this bullshit political. That's what she said. This is to dry out the war even longer.
Yeah.
So let me continue the original article here. And I'll just read the first 2 paragraphs, because how will the right deal with these conflicting messaging? I am legitimately interested in seeing. Where you had on one end, you had Donald Trump that's saying that we must advocate for peace, And then we have another part of the neocon right that's saying that Biden is too weak. Very interesting strategy that you guys are developing here. The Biden administration has finally relented. They relented as if Biden.
Yeah, he was really holding out.
Really holding on to weapons.
Totally.
Very cheap there. And we'll send 31 American-made Abrams tanks to Ukraine. This decision is welcome, but it comes too late to help Ukrainians as they prepare for a renewed Russian onslaught this spring. This illustrates, once again, how President Biden's half measures have made this war in Ukraine longer and bloodier than it should have been. So they're saying Joe Biden, the guy who sent more weapons and funds than the Russian military budget, he did a half measure, according to the Republicans at Fox. So what will be a full measure? What are you guys calling for?
Sending weapons and tanks and shit into war totally makes wars shorter and less bloody. Totally. That's how that works.
This is part of the propaganda of getting people to jump on board with the amount, is because if you give an exorbitant amount, but you label that amount small and minuscule, and you keep doing that, and you're bringing people to hearings for small and minuscule amounts that everybody else thought was astronomical. You see how you're whitewashing.
It's all in the framing.
You're downplaying through propaganda, because now you're fighting over it. They don't give a fuck about this. They don't care when them tanks get there. It's not about winning. Understand that. This is a show to show, oh, we're angry that this money is not there that quick. This is all for you to kind of hide the fact that we're sending $100 billion over there, and don't get crazy. Even though there's inflation, it's all a there's like they have to play out the whole script. You know what I'm saying? They have to play out until the end, and that's what this is to me. These hearings are just pure.
And Nick, you just said it best. Every day, it's really just them trying to figure out how they can best prolong this. Like, how can they play this off and kind of formulate their theater so that they can manufacture consent for prolonging the war for as long as humanly possible. I mean, CJ just said, Julian Assange said, the goal is not a successful war. The goal is an endless war. That's the way it has always been. That's why, y'all, how long has America been at war? I mean, forever. Like, there's 13 years of the United States existence that we weren't at war. That's again, economy of death. Our country runs on blood. And that's all this is us trying to just continue to perpetuate that system and that cycle. And it's, again, we don't care about the people of Ukraine. We're using them. We're using the bodies of dead Ukrainian children to fund our bullshit, to fund our oligarchs. That's gross. That's, I mean, the height of disgusting. And I do not and cannot and will not ever support that. You can call me a Putin puppet if you want to. I'm not into it. Never will be.
I will never support any politician. I tweeted this literally about 6 or 7 months ago. Like, I would never, ever support a politician who is not strongly against this war.
Yeah, no.
Period.
I mean, I would never support a politician anymore, but certainly not one.
Misty coming to my left.
Misty's, I was just about to say, Misty's to our left here. Some of us. Misty's to our left, and Rome is also.
Well, I was a few years, like Nick said earlier, I was a few years ahead of him. I was done after 2016. He was still in there. So, I mean, give yourselves like another year or so, and you'll be there too. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done. I'm
done because I think through just thinking about this and analysis with myself, I've been saying this, but I'm gonna start pushing more that when they say, oh no, we got to shoot all of our shots. No, we don't, because including electoral politics drains so much from everything else. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So no, we shouldn't be. Oh, everybody do. No. We shouldn't be doing all of it. No,
and it is genuinely effort. Genuinely.
You know, is that what Marianne Williamson and Crystal Ball and those people try to put?
They all keep saying that.
Come on, man, stop criticizing them. Let's do our deeply unserious thing. You do your thing, and let's say we allies. Like, what?
I mean, listen, again, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't do that. I will never tell anybody what to do about anything ever. I'm just not. But I'm not going to pretend that electoral politics is a worthwhile venture and that it's not a massive waste of time, money, energy, and resources, because it is. The system is corrupt to its core. We have no power. We have no influence. Our votes do not count. They don't matter. They rig the system. Numerous. I mean, how many ways do you have to see the way that the 2016 primary wasn't enough? Like watching them wipe hundreds of thousands of voters off the ballot in Bernie Sanders' home district wasn't enough for you. Watching the way that the Iowa caucus went with the fucking coin flip with the kid like flipping it over physically to like make it so that Pete won. I mean, that's not enough for you.
But Marianne Williamson want to convince us that it's only Republicans that are a threat to a democracy.
That's bullshit. She's lying to you. She knows better. She's lying to you. Straight up. That's like, I'm not even going to pretend like she's just, misguided, or she knows that she's lying. Come on.
That list
really?
of things you just list off, Misty, that sounded like SNL skits. That sounded like SNL skits, but that's our reality.
That is reality.
That is our reality. That sounds like SNL skits. Iowa caucus, the machines linked to Pete Buttigieg. I mean, just a candidate called Buttigieg. That sounds like an SNL skit. Like, this is like SNL.
It does. We live in a cartoon. We really do.
Yeah.
We really do.
I got a few more receipts, and I'm gonna bounce out.
Hey, Ferocious Gustafson.
I want to get y'all reaction though to the Andrew Yang video. Have you?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I want
really
to
quickly.
That. I just got that one. Yeah.
Minty, can you stay for that segment? You got time?
Yeah. No, I can stay. But this person, Ferocious Gustafson, in the chat said, "Tell us a solution." I'm not like the smartest person. I don't have all the answers, but I've been saying, we've said it multiple times during the show. We need direct action. We need mutual aid. We need to get in the streets. We need to start organizing outside the system. We need to start examining ways to build communities so that we can take care of each other when shit hits the fan, because it's going to. It already is. It's inevitable. The empire is going to fall. You need to learn your neighbors' names. You need to take care of them. You need to take care of each other. You need to learn how to grow food. You need to learn how to collect water. You need to learn how to do all of those things. Learn how to fix things, grow things, build things, all of that stuff, because the system is going to collapse. It's already happening. We're overextending ourselves militarily. We've seen this a million times over. This is how empires fail. It's happening right in front of you. Look around. You're living inside the fall of empire. Take it in, because it's happening. So I don't know all the answers. I've never pretended to, but we've said it during this show. Those are the things that we need to be doing. Working on electoral politics is a waste of time.
The people physically on the ground of a falling empire are always the last to realize it, because the empire is still telling them everything's great.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So they're the last one to realize that what the fuck, is going on.
They got you distracted with The Bachelor and the Super Bowl and the Kardashians and Kanye West and all that shit. Like, you're not paying attention. It's happening though.
Misty's answer was on point, and I don't want to pick on this person too much.
No, I don't mean to pick on them either.
But I'm tired of this pushback in particular.
Yes.
The pushback is extremely intellectually lazy, and I see it all the time.
I do too.
Example, I seen it recently because we went viral. RBN went viral because we were grilling Marianne Williamson. So I saw a ton of people who did not like the fact that we grilled Marianne Williamson, who said, "Oh my God, you guys are attacking our candidate. What's your solution then?"
Yeah, I get that all the time.
Then? Why the fuck do we need a exact roadmap to the revolution to explain why what you're doing is a waste of time?
Yeah.
We don't need a solution to tell you that the Democratic Party will not lead to change.
Yeah.
And people will say this all the time. People always say, "Well, what's your answer then?" Okay, so just because they don't have the immediate answer does not mean you should support corrupt politicians.
No.
So the implication being that if we don't support Marianne Williamson or any progressive Democratic Party challenger, they're like, okay, apparently there are no other solutions. You don't have any
solutions. And I don't mean to be like doom and gloom. I really don't. I wish I had better news for you. I don't. And I'm not saying that I'm right. Listen, again, just some chick in Ohio. I am not like the knower of all things. And I'm not pretending that I've never pretended to have all the answers. But in my opinion, and again, I don't tell you what to do. If you want to participate in electoral politics, by all means, go for it. I'm not going to waste my time there, because in my opinion, it is a major time suck. It's distracting us away from developing plans for ourselves where we can survive the collapse, because that's coming. So and I hope you don't feel picked on. I didn't mean to like,
I wasn't trying to.
I came in kind of hot on that, but I get that. Like Nick said, I've been getting that for fucking years.
Everyone does.
For years.
There's bad actors that use that. There's bad actors that use that, and then there's genuine people who are looking for direction. Like, tell us what you think we should be doing, because they literally want to hear the new ideas. And then you have those
and it's not about governing at this point, y'all. It's not about there's no governing for us right now. It's about surviving and then figuring out where we go after everything collapses.
There's too many people that don't know we're not being governed yet.
We're not
They don't know we're not being governed. So part of our theory of change, we first have to meet the material needs. This is where the mutual aid and the community building, knowing your neighbor, learning how to grow food, learning how to get water, clean water, just things like that for survival, so that you can sustain yourself outside of the system. You can sustain yourself in
Something
your
I've been
community.
doing that's really easy. If you go to the store and Band-Aids are on sale, or gauze is on sale, or peroxide is on sale, or whatever, or if matches are on sale, or lighters, or whatever, just those little things that you can start picking up and collecting. I have a storage room downstairs, so I have plenty of space that I can store it. But everybody can do something. Like if you live in an apartment and you can't learn to grow food, you can still learn how to fix things, or learn how to build things, learn how to fix cars, or like I said, collect medical supplies, or whatever it is. Like it's everybody can do a thing.
Culture. I love the answer that you gave me, Misty, because this is why I tell people we have to fundamentally change our culture.
Yes,
we live in late stage capitalism. You have majority of Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck. Life expectancy is falling. We need to reject this individualistic, capitalistic culture that we've been fed, where Americans live deeply lonely lives. Like that's why we built this organization. That when we built RBN, we are building community. Like people, they get sucked into like, and there's been studies that show this. People get sucked into like online culture. They go through rabbit holes because we don't have the community that we once had.
And that's why I love you guys, because from jump, you guys were always about education and building community. And that is two of the most vital things right now, is telling people where we're at, because a lot of people, as CJ just said, are completely clueless, and then educating people on how to move forward. And it's not going to be easy. I'm not pretending like it's going to be. It's not. It's going to fucking suck. It already sucks. People are already suffering tremendously. But if we, and I feel bad because I used to make fun of preppers all the time 10, 15 years ago. And now I am one, kind of, you know what I'm saying? But that's where we're at. That is legitimately where we're at. And so it is.
What you said also is exactly what QF Mene, my friend, great Marxist speaker, and it what me Marxist said that you should do. We need to continue to learn skills. We got like, even if like that, just value in terms of your own sovereignty. And Q, we actually had a conversation on this show. Like Q was explaining how he was learning woodworking. The reason why he was learning woodworking is because capitalism literally designed the furniture to be cheap, so you buy a new one.
Yeah.
So it's about us learning skills.
Planned obsolescence.
Yeah. So it's like, anyway, we get into a very, very
we're very off track now.
I want to get to because we can continue this all day. I love where that conversation went though. But I want to get back to this topic just because I got a limited amount of time. Birthday dinner at 5, so that's gonna be fun. Go to this great Chinese place. But anyway, let me finish the story. I'll show you guys how, before a quick little intermission, how the Republican Party, like Tom Cotton and the Fox News, they're saying that Biden is weak on Russia. Like that's their line of attack. You have Donald Trump just saying that that we should pursue peace. But the point being, the majority of Republicans, 80% of them, are voting for the Ukraine war. And the vast majority of the politicians who support the Ukraine war have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. No idea what the fuck they're talking about, but they got a very powerful Senate seat. I'm going to show you guys Mitt Romney, the guy who was so close to becoming the commander-in-chief. He's going to explain why it's so important to support Ukraine in this war. And I am not exaggerating. I'm building this up a little bit for a reason. This is a guy who has zero idea what's going on. And he gets literally intelligence reports. Listen to this guy. This is Mitt Romney explaining why it's so important for us to invest in Ukraine, despite him being a fiscal conservative. Listen to this shit.
Now, secondly, we've learned through sad history that when one country begins to feel over another country and invade them, ultimately that keeps on spreading and involves us, and we end up being attacked ourselves. That's one of the lessons of history, which is that violence in the world spreads, and it ultimately comes to our own shores.
We are the biggest purveyor of violence in the world. It's not even close. And he knows this, Nick. Don't let him fool you. And he doesn't know what he knows exactly what the fuck he's talking about. He knows exactly who we are. He knows, y'all, again, 1,000 military bases across the globe. We are illegally occupying dozens of countries, the entirety of Africa, basically. And he's worried about violence. We are the violence. That's us. We are the fucking violence. Oh.
And he said, we don't stop what is implied Russian aggression right now, it will spread. And you guys see the lie that the politicians are willingly spreading. This is how they convince us Finland and Sweden to join NATO. And people will be okay with that. Because they were trying to convince people that Russia is invading Ukraine as step one.
They're going to take over the world.
They got a global conquest planned in Ukraine. It starts at Ukraine, and then they're going to move to Germany. Then they're going to move to France. Then they're going to go to Spain. Then they're going to cross the Atlantic Ocean, and they're going to take over Washington, D.C.
This is absolutely the biggest case of projection ever. That is what we are trying to do. That is what NATO was trying to do. That's what we're doing. Russia's not doing that. That's what we're doing. It's what we've been doing. That's our goal. We want to take over. That is why we're trying to get global jurisdiction over information and journalism with the extradition of Julian Assange. We want to make sure that we can shut down all dissent so that we can continue this process and take over the globe. It's so annoying to me that people fall for this shit. It is so annoying. But I understand propaganda is very powerful and fear is a very powerful manipulator. And that's what he's using here. Notice that politicians, if you notice, whenever they want you to think a certain way, they start with a fear-based statement, because as soon as you hear that, your brain does not work anymore. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like your lizard brain turns on and suddenly you're scared. You know what I mean?
That's such a good point. Sorry, Misty, but that's such a good point. That's why they've been repeating this lie. And someone who's been covering the propaganda around the Ukraine war, that's something that we've been pointing out a lot on RBN. And not just Mitt Romney getting it wrong. I swear to God, from the BBC, from the New York Times, from CNN, Washington Post, all these people, they imply all the time that if we don't win, if Russia doesn't lose in Ukraine, other countries will be next, which is fundamentally not true. If this is about NATO encroachment on the Russian border, Ukraine failure to uphold the Minsk agreement, and them acknowledging the Donbass, Luhansk, and Eastern Ukraine as independent from the Nazi fascists. Why would they go, if they did that, why would they go and conquer Europe? That does not make sense. They know it does not make sense. And also, let's think about the contradiction here. They say that Russia is a country that was embarrassed and exposed as inefficient because they can't beat Ukraine. That's what you hear from the Western media all the time. They said this war is embarrassing for Putin because it shows on the world stage that they can't even beat Ukraine. Okay, so if you really believe that Russia is losing to Ukraine and can't beat Ukraine, why are you worried about Russia invading the United States?
Taking over the world.
There's so many lies and contradictions in what you're saying. If they can't beat Ukraine, they're zero threat to Europe and the United States. So
and they do this all the time. Russia's so powerful. We gotta send billions of dollars in weapons to help Ukraine fight them. But also Russia's super weak and they're losing. Which one is it?
Dude, you see, there's a ton of op-eds I've seen. I didn't read them all. Some of them I just read the headline. Where there'd be op-eds where people be like, man, this war really exposed how weak Russia is militarily. Other ones like, man, we must have really overestimated Russia militarily. Okay, what's up with the fear-mongering then? If Russia is so weak, why you guys send more than the military budget over there? And you guys still haven't won. But anyway, let's play it one more time. It's only 20 seconds. Listen to this guy speak, and then I'll pass to you guys.
I'm sorry I went off there. I'm sorry.
No, this is what we bring you on here for.
Now, secondly, we've learned through sad history that when one country begins to feel they can take over another country and invade them, ultimately, that keeps on spreading and involves us. And we end up being attacked ourselves. That's one of the lessons of history, which is that violence in the world spreads and it ultimately comes to our own shores. Now,
does he mean like when we orchestrated a coup in 2014 and overturned their government and put in place some puppet? Is that what he's talking about? That when we take over, when somebody gets a country taken over? Because that's what we fucking did. Really? Oh, motherfuck this guy.
Everything they say is a projection.
Projection. Absolute projection. He's full of shit. Fuck that guy.
I think I have time for this one. I think. Let's see. Because
Andrew Yang one?
You do the Andrew Yang story. We pretty much end the Trump story. We can do Andrew Yang story, and I have this story. I'm literally debating right now whether I should do it now or save it for next time. There's the CNN segment I was watching on Ukraine where this guy admits that the tank's not going to matter, that Russia has not been weakened by this war. And so anyway, I may say that for later. But CJ, I'll pass to you because because I actually want to react.
Yeah,
to
this if you haven't seen this this next story that we're gonna be covering, the Andrew Yang, this is really eye-opening on 2 points, and that's eye-opening for Andrew Yang and for the person who he's interviewing, who is clearly I'll explain, but I actually have a past with this person wanting to be on the show. Like, they hit us up and wanting to participating, be on panels. Person he's interviewing. So let me share my screen here. This is Andrew Yang and interviewing Sarah Ashton. Yeah, Sarah Ashton. And it's such a weird story, but what it is like on the ground for an American journalist turned enlisted Ukrainian soldier. After 11 months in a war-torn country, what does she want Americans to know about the Ukrainian people? Like, this clip is pretty
Let me say this.
Bizarre. Go ahead.
That journalist who went to Ukraine, which I'm assuming to cover it, right? So she went to cover Ukraine, and then she turned to a soldier, and now she's back doing interviews with Andrew Yang. Let me tell you, that journalist made the best career move I've ever seen. She's smart as hell. Like, dude, the liberal media is about to love this person.
Yeah.
What a great career move. Remember when what's his name? Nance, that black dude from MSNBC.
Oh yeah, Malcolm Nance.
Yeah, Malcolm Nance. I'm blanking on his name.
Such a turd.
Malcolm Nance. He's another guy who made an objectively good career move. When the Ukraine war started, he was like, "I'm going to enlist in the Ukraine war," and then all the liberals like, "Oh my God, you're so brave! Look, Malcolm is putting his money where his mouth is." And finally, so now he's gonna come back home. He's gonna write a book about. I already see him like do stuff like this is what it looked like on the Ukraine. Like, the journalists that are doing this are making an amazing career move for the liberal establishment, because that will make you climb the ranks. But anyway, go ahead, CJ. I'm sure that is what this is about for this person. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You commented that the only things people care about in Ukraine are your character, your actions, your behavior, your commitment, and things around your identity are not on anyone's mind. And you describe that as actually a different set of experiences than you have in the US.
And coming over here, you realize nothing matters but liberty and these ideas and values of strong democracy and freedom. And so ultimately.
So what I was going to say, and I didn't want to tip it off and I stopped myself. This is obviously a character.
Obviously, CIA.
This is obviously a character. I mean, a character. And 100. Let me tell you the capacity that I know this. So, I put out an ad about bringing on people a panel. I remember when I was doing a lot of panels, she answered one of them and was in the chat. She's still in one of the. Yes.
What?
Yes, I've been corresponding with her through DMs.
Okay.
Like about more than a year ago, maybe like a year ago. And
wait.
Yes, she wanted to be on panels. She was going to be on one of the panels, end up not being there.
No.
But tried to get me to look her up on Google. I never did, and maybe that's why I didn't find out.
Maybe that was before she found this new. Maybe that was before.
Yeah. This is before this. She didn't go. She wasn't. So once again, any of this yet.
Maybe she wanted to dabble into independent media, and then she realized, like, you know what? If I become a shit lib,
notice she's wearing a Zelensky t-shirt, by the way. By the way, I just looked it up because I was like, this name sounds really familiar. This is the same person who went to a monument, that a Soviet monument for those who died fighting fascism, and was like, your fascism, your totalitarianism will not get a monument, Putin. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I remember that video.
That's her.
Oh, this is a character.
Christ.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you, this is a character, man.
100%.
Zoya said she's a known propagandist, so
hello,
I'm
agent.
just now getting called the speed on her.
Yeah, so let me. I'm going to show you the video, but let me show you the DM that was sent. So this is the DM I'm saying. When I put that out, this September. This is 2 years now, so a year and a half because it's only September.
I'm an active DSA.
Of course, DSA. Of course. Of course.
Red
DSA,
flag number one.
DSA is literally a bunch of fucking ops, son. Are you serious?
She led with a red flag. Come on, man.
Oh, you can't make this shit up.
Wow.
That actually tipped me off on how I was interacting with her and my messages to her. So I'm an active DSA who believes the need of UBI, housing reparations, decriminalization of sex, and the rights to resident. Okay, so you can Google me as I have significant headlines over the last months. So that completely sort of turned me off, and I didn't Google to find out who this person was, and I just, and I say,
Look
well, first
CJ.
thing comes out is that DSA thing. It's like not sure how much awkward position you're going to be in. You're very critical of this bullshit.
CJ,
I was telling the truth. I was like, hell no.
This is my favorite thing from today. I love this.
I love CJ's basic style. He was like, "You from where?"
Oh my god!
And then this was her reply to what I said, and then I'll stop here. I won't, let her go into any other personal, but I'll critique when it's called for and debate when it's not. Right. No entity is perfect, but you'll never get Gilib talking points. I run my own life and own campaign. Okay, so this is the history I just wanted to show quickly before we look at a little bit more of this video. This is the history.
So she want to be a politician? So she said she run her own campaign. So she's a politician?
I think she probably just means her own campaign for fame or like getting.
This is what I was trying to get at is that this is a person who at anything, like whatever I can become famous at, that's what I'm doing. So it's whatever it is. Like, is this, is that? So that's why it's so many different things.
She clearly doesn't know a damn thing about RBN. She came up in your DMs not knowing a damn thing about who you are. That's for sure.
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all.
Wow.
All right. So let's look at a little bit of this.
I'm sorry. I want to read this comment from Ryan. Ryan, he said it's straight up social democrats and Nazis working together all over again.
It's the blue-brown. So I'm telling you, I've been calling it that for years. It's the fucking blue-brown alliance. They try to paint it as a red-brown. It's the blue-brown alliance, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah, always has been.
That. Yeah. Go ahead.
Scratch a liberal and a fascist bleeds.
Yep.
I want y'all to hear the first opening introduction to what he says here. So I think is this the YouTube? Yeah, I'm on YouTube. So let's listen.
To be on the show, and yeah, that's a lot of stuff that had to roll off your tongue regarding my.
Ooh, sorry, just patting herself on the back as she comes in as her first words.
I love
just
it.
Amazing.
This is
just amazing.
Sarah's journey.
It is my privilege to welcome to the podcast from Kherson, Ukraine, journalist, war correspondent, enlisted soldier in the Ukrainian army, all-around hero in my book, Sarah Ashton Cirillo. Welcome, Sarah.
Hey, Andrew. It's great to be on the show. And yeah, that's a lot of stuff that had to roll off your tongue regarding my different professional undertakings.
That's a lot of stuff.
I do a lot of things, you guys. I'm very busy. I'm very important. I'm very important. Oh my God.
Let's listen to another 30 seconds.
If you are enlisting in a foreign military who is not and I'm not like a patriot or anything, but you're enlisting in a foreign military that's not like an ally, like a legit ally, and then you try to pretend to be a journalist too. You're not a journalist. Enlisting in the army of the country that you report, that's not a journalist, homegirl. Not it. That ain't it.
Things here in Ukraine.
Yeah, you and I met out in Las Vegas. You were in a more normal role, I would say. And now you're doing something that most of us only get glimpses of in terms of news coverage and social media clips. You're actually a source of a lot of the social media clips. And I'd urge people to follow Sarah Ashton Cirillo's accounts because you get an on-the-ground look.
And they randomly found her.
Parts of.
I'll be real quick. I want the video to keep going. But she keep going viral. She's some person who decided to volunteer for the Ukrainian military, but she keeps getting an interview. How they keep finding her? How they find her?
Right?
Why is she the one that keep going viral?
Right?
You guys, I am not one of these people that sees that and like, okay, that's a coincidence.
It's almost like
CJ.
she's being elevated intentionally.
Almost.
Yes.
CJ, you know me. I'm like, dude, I don't believe in these fucking these coincidences.
No.
So this person who volunteered for Ukraine just so happened that keep going viral, and they want to convince her that's she going viral because people are just interested in her.
Yeah.
No, this is an op. But go ahead. I just want to make that point. Go ahead. Go ahead, CJ.
Oh, sorry. I'm playing
Yeah,
the wrong
go ahead
one.
with-
I'm
yeah,
in the
just
wrong
go
screen.
Ukraine.
Sorry.
How did you find yourself in a war zone over this last nearly a year now?
It's interesting. That's a question I get often, and it's something that morphed. It was a slow time. I was covering the US political scene, specifically in Nevada, where I want to say the forward parties had a lot of success, and you personally are always warmly welcomed in the great state of Nevada. And the
God, the ass kissing.
full-scale invasion took place in February 24th. And on March 4th,
I'm just saying, let me preface this, and then we're going to end the segment with this story here. It's an unverifiable story when she gets to the part where the Ukraine stuff, and I'm just saying, it sounds so like this would be in a movie. I just did this. Like she's gonna get I just did that. It's like, come on, this is
the way that she answered that. It's interesting.
Unreal.
I get that question often. Of course, you get that question often. Like, what the fuck is? What are people supposed to ask you? Like, what's your favorite color? No, you went to a war zone. Of course, they're gonna ask you, why are you there? Like, and she's like, oh, it's interesting. I get asked that a lot. Duh. Oh.
So yeah. So listen. Let's listen to the story.
I arrived for 2 weeks to cover the refugee crisis, specifically in the border area between Poland and Ukraine. It's something I'd written about before in 2015 with the Syrian refugee crisis. And after arriving, when I came to the Ukrainian side in order to get my credentials from the Armed Forces of Ukraine, I was given the opportunity to go to the northern frontline city of Kharkiv, right after the Russians had been pushed out. And March 9th, March 10th, I arrived there. And I didn't leave Kharkiv for more than 7.5 months. I started volunteering with the armed forces. I went ahead and was covering the war for LGBTQ Nation for 6 months as a journalist. And eventually I started working in a civilian capacity for the Ukrainian government and eventually enlisted on October 10th.
You served as a medic in the Ukrainian army until quite recently, where they moved you to something called hybrid warfare. And you've also been on Capitol Hill communicating to members of Congress about the importance of American support. You must have seen some harrowing things as a medic, I'm imagining.
Even before serving, I saw some of the most horrific images that will never leave me as a journalist and as a volunteer. I saw enough death to last. I never want to see another, I don't care if it's Ukrainian or even a Russian, die in this war. I want every death to be the last death, because what we've experienced here over the last 11 months, what I've experienced personally in dozens of casualties. And we can get to that point if the Russians would just withdraw, and if we can get back to the 1991 borders and
get back to 1991 borders, that includes Crimea. Do you understand? This is gotta be a complete psyop. I encourage you, Nick, to go watch the whole thing, because I guarantee you're gonna want to do a segment of part of that when you watch that whole thing. But for the sake of time, I know you got your birthday.
Yeah, let me say this. I'll probably
there.
bounce. Misty, I appreciate you staying with us.
Yeah,
nice.
I gotta go soon too. I gotta pick my kid up.
Yeah, you always stay a little about 50 minutes longer than I promised. But I want to say this. I always do this. Every single time I play Misty, I'm like, it's okay. We're gonna do an hour this time. 90 minutes
every
later.
time. I know that means 2. If you say an hour, I know that means 2.
Every single time. Much love to Misty Winston here. But I want to add this to wrap this segment up. Remember what we said, CJ, months ago? Actually, about a year ago. I don't know how long it's been since Andrew Yang launched his forward party. But we explained then that it was obvious that this foreign party is a psyop that is designed to make third parties look bad and to siphon support for third parties. We explained earlier before, why will you create a third party that foreign policy and other policies that the establishment hate, they don't support. So you're a third party, but you don't differentiate yourself from Democrats or Republicans on war. You don't differentiate yourself from Democrats or Republicans on healthcare or literally anything.
Nothing.
That's literally exactly what the establishment want. So Andrew Yang come out with this party just to get people who otherwise want to go third party. They're like, oh shit, Yang third. I guess I go with them because that's a third party that is offering no threat to the establishment. The establishment sees those posts, CJ and Misty. They see those posts that show 50% of Americans want a third party. So their reaction is, how about we trick about 50% of them by putting four party on the list?
Yes.
You guys see what I'm saying? We literally predicted this at the back then as well. But it defeats the point. This strategy fails if you have a third party that says stuff that people want, that people like, you know what I mean? Because then you peel people away from the duopoly. So what you do, you have a third party that repeat everything the other two parties are saying, but you give a bubble for third party people to fill.
Yep.
Instead of actually having them go to something that will challenge the two-party duopoly. Anyway, that's my last thoughts on the segment. Misty, where can they find you? 'Cause I know you.
I gotta go get my kid from basketball. So I'm on Twitter all the time at Sarcasm Stardust. We're gonna be doing a vigil this Friday, an Assange vigil. Andrew's actually gonna be back, and we're gonna talk to some people from the Rage Against the War Machine rally. So that's gonna be Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then I'm just. What's that?
What channel is that for the viewers?
It's Action for Assange on YouTube. Action, the number 4 Assange. So I took like a little bit of a hiatus from literally everything, but now we're going to start doing. Andrew's going to come in every other Friday, and I'm going to try to do every Friday. He's dealing with health issues with his kid right now, pretty fucking serious health issues. So he's only going to be able to do every other week, if that. I just told him to come when he can, but he's going to be back this Friday. So we're going to do a vigil at 9 p.m. Eastern. And thanks for having me. And happy birthday, Nick.
And always fun.
Yeah.
On. Tomorrow I might take. I keep saying this, but I literally might take tomorrow. It is the 8th day in a row with a stream. So I feel pretty productive.
Dude, take a break. I'm telling you, I went too hard for too long, and then I hit a fucking wall. Take a break.
I'll tell CJ this. I always need a few days while I'm with family. I'm outside. Like, I hit the heavy bag. Like, I got a community center over there. I start training Muay Thai again. I hit the heavy bag. I'm gonna start lifting weights again. So I learned I'm a better commentator. Literally when I like step away for like a day.
Yes.
So that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow because I have been going hard for the last few days. So I let you guys know more guest announcements I'm working on. I'll probably be back on Wednesday or Thursday. So with that said, Misty, wait, what was that?
No, I was just gonna say Rocco asked how Andrew's daughter is doing. I don't want to speak on that. It's not my child, so I don't want to. Her health issues are incredibly serious, and she's facing a very long road. I will say that. I think he'd be comfortable with me saying that. He is going to explain more, I think, in depth on Friday. So I don't. It's not my place to speak on. She's not my kid. But it's legit. It's not. I mean, it's pretty serious. So she's doing okay now. She recovered from the surgery. He's tweeted about that. I feel comfortable saying that. But Friday he's going to be on Action for Assange, and he's going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
I want to answer this question because I keep seeing these questions. So I think we should answer these questions. Sabby is still a member of RBN. We're still family. Well, you guys saw our first public fight.
What's that mean? Coming back.
Well, she never left. Yeah, she never leave. You guys saw our first public fight. We are family here. We talked through it.
Families fight.
Sabby is still part of RBN. I just want to answer that because I see some people answering, and I don't want to just leave it up to rumors. So Sabby is a member of RBN. They took that weekend a few days off, but they still part of RBN. I just want to let you guys know. But anyway, Misty, I will pop you out. Let's say
thanks, guys. Love you.
And I will bounce out as well. See, I still think you have some stories to cover, right?
I'm gonna cover the Latin global South turning down weapons. So, all right, Nick, happy birthday, sir. Have a good birthday dinner or time with your family. Just gonna kind of read over this story. Latin America refuses to send Ukraine weapons despite Western pressure. So we're just gonna quickly close out the stream with this article here, and this is just a pushback against the powerful imperialist power, the United States, the West. This article is from Ben Norton over at Geopolitical Economy. And this is one of the articles. They have a video version of this, but I'd rather read this one. So let's jump right into it very quickly here. Latin America refuses to send Ukraine weapons despite Western pressure. And like I said, written by Ben Norton, Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia have refused to send weapons to Ukraine despite pressure by the US and EU. Latin American left-wing leaders have urged peace with Russia and called for neutrality in the West new Cold War. Let me see. Do I have a title here? Yeah. Let's put up something here. Make it a little bit easier when we edit. We have a banner there for Aaron. All right, so Latin America refuses to send Ukraine weapons. And now I'll continue with the article. Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia have rejected requests by the United States and European Union that they send weapons to Ukraine. The commander of the U.S. military Southern Command, SOUTHCOM, which operates in Latin America and the Caribbean, revealed on January 19th that Washington had been pressuring countries in the region to arm Ukraine. SOUTHCOM wants Latin American nations to replace their Russian equipment with United States equipment if those countries want to donate it to Ukraine, said Army General Laura J. Richardson. And that's the video we're going to play a little bit, just an intro, so you can kind of hear that general say it in a video. We're going to play that video so we can see that clip. But Latin America's left-wing leaders have refused, instead maintaining neutrality and urging peace. The socialist governments in Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua blame NATO expansion and U.S. meddling for causing the war in Ukraine. Mexico's President AMLO, and we all know who that is, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, offered to hold peace talks to end the conflict. And the leftist government in Bolivia and Honduras have joined Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia in refusing to be a part of the proxy war. And then he shows the same video that we're going to be watching. That's what that tweet is. So let's listen to the video a little bit, and we're going to close it out. This would be a short segment that we needed to make sure we covered. I was watching it earlier. So let's.
Hey everyone, I'm Ben Norton, and this is Geopolitical Economy Report. In my work here, I've done a lot of reporting on the global South's response to the new Cold War that the United States and the European Union are waging against both Russia and China, and especially the proxy war in Ukraine. We've seen that the United States and Europe have pressured countries across Latin America, Africa, and Asia to join them in imposing sanctions on Russia, in cutting ties with Russia and China, and in sending military equipment and weapons to Ukraine. And yet the vast majority of the global population lives in countries that have been neutral in this new Cold War. I did a separate report, which I'll link to in the description below, that looks at an article that two former US diplomats wrote, in which they admit that 87% of the world has not joined them in their sanctions and economic war against Russia and has shown neutrality. And today what I'm going to be talking about is how Latin America, the left-wing leaders in Latin America, have refused to send weapons to Ukraine despite pressure by the US and by multiple European governments. I'm talking about the left-wing leaders of Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina have refused to be engaged in the proxy war in Ukraine and have denied requests by the West to send weapons. As always, I have a report about this, and I will link to it in the description below, which has links to all of the sources that I'll be discussing today. And I'll be looking at the comments that have been made by the new president of Brazil, Lula da Silva, the first ever left-wing president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, and I'll also be looking at the comments made by Argentina's president, Alberto Fernandez. All three rejected pressure to send weapons to Ukraine. All three of them have been neutral, and all three of them have called for peace talks to end the proxy war in Ukraine, while the West continues to escalate this proxy war. Now, to begin this analysis here today, I'm going to be showing a video clip from the commander of Southcom. That is.
So this is the video that I was looking to watch to include in the segment before we end the segment. So let's watch.
Southern Command. This is the part of the U.S. military that oversees operations in Latin America and the Caribbean. And the commander of Southcom, the Army General Laura J. Richardson, did an interview with NATO's de facto think tank, the Atlantic Council, on January 19th. And she admitted that the United States is pressuring countries in Latin America that have bought Russian military equipment to replace that military equipment with U.S. military equipment and then to send it to Ukraine to help fight against Russia. So here is this very revealing video clip.
If I talk to my number two adversary in the region, Russia, I mean, I've got, of course, the countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua with Russia relationships. But what I really look at, and 6 other countries, by the way, so a total of 9 that have Russian equipment.
So a few responses there. I'm going to say more. I'm going to show more of the clip, but she points out by saying that Russia is the number 2 adversary of the United States. Earlier in the video, the discussion, she said that China is Washington's number 1 adversary. But here she complains that the leftist governments in Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua are close allies of Russia. And she says 6 other countries in Latin America, 9 in total, have bought Russian military equipment. And now she proposes what she wants them to do with that Russian military equipment.
In them, and we're working to replace that Russian equipment with United States equipment if those countries want to donate it to Ukraine or the cause that's happening. And
so there you go. She proposes that those countries in Latin America that have bought Russian military equipment donate that military equipment, that is weapons, to Ukraine to help it fight this NATO proxy war against Russia. And then she says that they can replace that military equipment with U.S. military equipment. Now, multiple leaders in Latin America have refused to do so and have criticized the West for trying to get them involved in its proxy war against Russia. I'll start by talking about the new president of.
So I'll stop there on that video and oops, close that. Go back to the article. All right. So, and now we're just going to kind of read a couple of things here from each country, not the whole section. So Brazil's Lula refuses to send tank munition to Ukraine. Germany announced on January 25th that it would send tanks to Ukraine in a significant escalation of the NATO proxy war against Russia. Berlin subsequently asked Brazil to ship tank munition to Kyiv, but newly inaugurated left-wing President Lula da Silva declined to do so. Lula was a co-founder of BRICS bloc, consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. He has long called for a multipolar world and supports South-South cooperation and regional integration. Lula has denounced Western governments for ramping up violence in Ukraine instead of encouraging peace. So now let's scroll down to see Colombia. Colombia's Petro opposes sending weapons to Ukraine. Make sure we can see that. Colombia's first left-wing president, Gustavo Petro, revealed that the United States pressured his country as well to give weapons to Ukraine, but he refused to do so, instead urging peace. In comments at the Summit of Community of Latin American and Caribbean States in Buenos Aires, I think that's how you said, on January 24th, Petros noted that Colombia had previously purchased Russian military equipment, quote, for its own purposes inside the country. Washington wants Bogota, that's the capital of Colombia, to send the Russian equipment to Ukraine, but Pedro stressed that his nation's constitution calls for international peace, and therefore those military technologies, quote, will stay as junk in Colombia. I think there's one more example here. Argentina, I think, is the last example. Argentina's Alberto Fernandez says Latin America will not arm Ukraine. Germany's chancellor visited Argentina on January 28th. There, he asked President Alberto Fernandez to send military equipment to Ukraine. Fernandez, I said Fernando earlier, Fernandez declined, instead stating firmly at a press conference that, quote, Argentina and other Latin American countries do not plan to provide weapons to Ukraine or to do any other conflict zone. Fernandez did criticize Russia for invading Ukraine, but he called for an end to the war, urging peace, not escalation. I think that's the last one there of the examples, of the specific examples of the reasoning for the specific reasoning for each country, or three of the countries that decline to send or support this Ukraine war through weapons. So I think we can end it there. We shall go back to Twitter just to make sure there's nothing. Today's stream was kind of, weird, the timing and when, didn't all start at the same time. But because of that, I feel like, let me just make sure there's nothing on Twitter that's going down that we are missing as far as news here. What is Glenn talking about here? I usually check Glenn, I check Ben, I check Wyatt, just to see if there's anything breaking that I'm missing. Democrats rehabilitate every neocon. That is to be understood. Okay, so it doesn't look like he's breaking anything. Let's check out Ben. Is anything trending? Usually check out Margaret Kimberly too. So we'll check out Margaret Kimberly. I'm just checking to see if anything has broke here. Maybe we'll call this section segment. This is what we were just talking about. So we covered that. Colombia's left-wing president says one of the greatest successes of his country so far is being reduced maternity mortality rate after just 4 months in power. So that's good. All right, so this is another story. I won't cover it this time, but this is another story we'll be covering hopefully in another segment. A former CIA analyst admitted that in Cuba, a lot of the so-called independent journalists are indirectly funded by the U.S. So I thought that was a very interesting story. I want to cover that one. I don't see that there's anything in particular that's popping off here. Let's go to trending actually before we take off here. What is trending here? Anything important? Whoopi? No. Stormy Daniels, I see. I'm not even clicking on that. It seems like that will open up a can of worms. So I don't see anything that stands out necessarily. Yeah, don't see anything that stands out necessarily to me. So I'm going to leave it there. Let's go ahead and bring up a closeout video, everyone to see. Now, Nick may be off. I'm not sure if we're gonna even have a roundtable tomorrow. So I guess we shall see. I'm not sure we're gonna have a roundtable, but we shall see. Yeah. All right. So we'll end with this one here because this is one that I know. So everybody enjoy and see you next time.
Have convinced the white public that the so-called Negro.
Oops. I'll restart it. It's still playing. My bad, everybody. Let's see if it plays.
Once the police have convinced
now,
the white
I'll
public
hit the right.
that the so-called Negro community is a criminal element, they can go in and question, brutalize, murder unarmed, innocent Negroes, and the white public is gullible enough to back them up. This makes the Negro community a police state. This makes the Negro neighborhood a police state. It's the most heavily patrolled. It has more police in it than any other neighborhood, yet it has more crime in it than any other neighborhood. How can you have more cops and more crime? Why? It shows you that the cops must be in cahoots with the. Once the police have convinced the white public that the so-called